That he believes the Secret Service took down the alleged shooter.
So we had a party here all day at the. You can see behind us at the Brinkles Farm and Greenhouse here. We had a party, and we all decided, hey, you know, when we hear Trump up there, we're going to walk up through the field, stand by the trees up there under the shade, and watch and listen to the rally. Right? We couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up. And probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking, I'm estimating here, I have no idea, you know, but we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, and, you know, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? You know, like they didn't know what was going on. You know, we're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. You know, he's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service.
We were telling the police. We were pointing at them for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? I mean, this is not a big place.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. My name is Muhammad. I'm currently in Cairo, Egypt here, helping Palestinian families who have been forcibly
clips playback. So what we'll do is we'll play out this moment from earlier today in the rally. Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania, just about an hour north of Pittsburgh. That's when shots rang out. Let's watch.
And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Move his hair. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Move. Go.
Hawkeye's here. Hawkeye's here. Move it to the stair. Stair, get ready. Stair, get ready.
You ready? Are we good? Shooter's down. Are we good to move?
We're clear.
Let's move. Let's move.
We're clear.
Come on.
Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes.
Hold on, your head is bloody.
So we got to move to the bus.
Let me get my shoes.
What's up?
Damn, my mic was muted. How you doing? You know, I'm on my other account, just hanging out. Welcome. What's up, News Now? You can go ahead and hit the link if you want to. I'm gonna go ahead and post the link for you.
And
Okay, so Trump being put into the presidential vehicle, I've been erroneously calling it the Beast. The Beast is the name that you call the current president. That's whatever vehicle the current president is in. Former President Trump being whisked away into those black SUVs, where we understand he was taken to a local hospital. His campaign since saying that he is fine, and we continue on with our coverage. We have Biden's remarks. They are short. Let's play them out.
Thanks for coming, folks. I've been thoroughly briefed by all the agencies in the federal government as to the situation, based on what we know now. I have tried to get a hold of Donald. He's with his doctors. Apparently he's doing well. I plan on talking to them shortly, I hope, when I get back to the telephone. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And so
I see you, brother.
I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have engaged in making sure that people and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if I'm not able to if it's not convenient for you all. But the bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must get
It's his fault.
I'll keep you informed, and if I'm able to speak to Donald, I'll
He looks
let you know
creepy
that
as
well.
fuck, don't he?
So far, it appears he's
Dude,
doing
he is a creep.
one. Number two, that there's thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience. We have some reports, but not final reports. And every agency in the federal government, I'm going back to my phone to speak with the federal agencies that are being put together again to give me an updated briefing. Has anything happened? They learned any more in the last couple hours. So thank you very much, and I hope I get to speak to them tonight, and I'll get back to you if I do. Okay.
Mr. President, do you think this was an assassination attempt?
I don't know enough to. I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make any more comments. Thank you.
Are you worried about his own safety? Was the security failing as president?
All right. Biden speaking earlier today in his home state of Delaware. We are following this situation closely. We've been talking with our analysts and Lieutenant Randy Sutton joining us now. Randy, we appreciate you coming on. This is something that it's going to take time for us to learn all the details. Getting details in piece by little. Here's what we're hearing from Jake Gibson. He's a producer with Fox News saying shooter dead, AR recovered. Federal law enforcement source says the shooter is dead and that an AR style rifle was recovered at the scene. What do you make of AR style?
See, I'm going to have to call bullshit on these news
rifle
reports.
that was utilized.
Why is that? Speak your mind.
First of all, as you could tell, them were close shots. Okay. Because if he was at the distance they were saying, you would have heard two retorts, one coming over the camera and then one coming over the microphones. The only ones you heard, the only retort you heard was coming over the microphone. Okay. You didn't hear it coming over the camera. You would have heard it first from the camera, then you would have heard it coming over the microphone. Second of all, if you listen, you heard the cha-ching. If he was at the distance that they said he was, you wouldn't have heard cha-ching as a slide was going back. Okay. So these sniper ideas, I'm calling bullshit on.
What do you think about two shooters?
That there might have possibility could have been. But from what I heard, and the only thing I heard because I owned one. I had a 22 semi-automatic pistol. Okay. I owned it for almost 15 years, and I put round after round. I shot the rifling out of it. That's why I don't have the pistol anymore. Okay. That's how many rounds I put through it. I can hear that sound, and that's exactly what I'm hearing. Is a 22 pistol, semi-automatic pistol, which the consistency of the number of shots would also fit it, because 1 in the chamber, 10 in the mag as well.
Yep.
Because
Now
11 shots.
Yeah, well, Hebrew Hammer was over earlier on the first stream. Now he's a gun enthusiast, right? He sells guns and all different types of bullets and stuff. So when he heard it, he told me it was a 22, and then it was a 223. So that led me to believe there was 2 shooters.
Well, I might not be hearing the 223. I was more focused in on. I heard the 22. Okay.
Yeah.
So
we all heard that. Yeah. And I didn't hear the 223, but that's what he pointed it out, So I'm just saying that.
well,
And then we heard some
to
other
go back and look for.
Yeah, but then like on the last stream, one of the guys that were talking about it on the news or something, they even mentioned a 223. They said a 22 and a 223. What's up, Knowledge and Relationships? How you doing, man? Welcome to the stream.
Here's the problem I have. The first thing they started talking about was ghost guns. Okay. Well, ghost guns are made out of poly stuff. Okay. Basically plastic. Okay.
Yeah, that hard plastic. Yeah, I know what you.
Right. Which you'll only get tops 3 shots out of it, and then it's screwed up, and then they'll never shoot again. Okay. That's what they first went with. Then they started going, well, this happened and this happened. Now they're sticking to this. There was a sniper, but the problem I'm really having with that, because the next thing they say is the Secret Service was junk and they didn't do their job. You see what I'm saying? That I think that's just a diss to them, to make them look bad, which they've been trying to do. The ones that are with Trump, they've been trying to do that since Trump hasn't been president, because they don't listen to the Democrats. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So so there's so much to that. Like I said, him saying that he heard a 223 in there, I will go back and I'll listen to it some more, because I may have missed something.
Well, I didn't hear it. I'm just letting you know that's something that he said. He pointed it out, and then even somebody that was on here that said they knew about guns when we were watching it on the stream from YouTube. They also mentioned it. So I'm just saying, I don't know, but that's just what's floating out there right now.
But I still want to know about the 22, because I could damn well tell you there was a 22 semi-automatic pistol that was used in that. Period. End of statement. I know that sound. 15 years of shooting one, you learn what that sounds like. You know what I mean?
Yep. I was on a rifle team, so I used to
So you know exactly what I mean. You use your rifle long enough, you can hear someone else shooting the same type of rifle.
Yes, sir. I love being on a rifle team. Knowledge and Relationship, I will check that. I've been locked out of my IG. I just got back in today. I had to go get me another phone, but I will check that message and I'll hit you back up. I guarantee it. Appreciate you though sending me that message, man.
And as far as y'all saying Biden's creepy, I agree with that, because of the simple fact there's videos out there with him touching little girls, sniffing their hairs and things like that. I mean, literally touching them at a big award ceremony.
I've seen him come up sniffing people
touching their titties.
and they're trying to get away from
Well,
him.
what
and-
about that big award? Well, what about the big award ceremony where he's awarding all these little girls freaking awards, and he's literally touching their titties, he's rubbing their chests, rubbing their backs, rubbing their bellies, and things like that. And there was one that the camera didn't quite catch it, but I think his hand went even a little bit lower, and that girl tried to run away from him, and he had to literally grab onto her to keep her from running away. I mean, so, and that was at that award ceremony. Then later on at the inauguration, do you remember the inauguration? He said there that Senator Skid, that Senator Skid, he went to go kiss her, and she bitch slapped him across the face and said no.
I'm gonna have to check that out. You got the link to that one?
Yeah, go
Send me
watch
the
that.
link.
That I cracked up. I almost fell on the ground laughing when that shit happened. I mean, she did. That little girl bitch slapped him right across the mouth, man. You ain't gonna kiss me, no.
When someone shoots at a presidential candidate, hits him in the ear, that's an assassination attempt. The fact that at least one person has lost their life, I think that lends to the gravity of this situation. Thank God for the Secret Service. The fact that they were able to take out the shooter within a very, very short period of time, which is what the Secret Service is meant to do. This is a moment in history. The photograph of Donald Trump after he recovered, bleeding from his ear, blood running down his face, holding his fist up triumphantly, as if saying, I'm not afraid of you, will become an iconic photograph in history. And the fact that this assassination attempt took place shows the desperation of people that do not want him elected. And as this election gets closer and the RNC begins its deliberations over the next week to declare him the official candidate, I'm afraid that the violence may ramp up and that the threats will ramp up as well.
I'm in agreement with that.
So,
there.
I got to ask you, Randy,
I
I
think
know you
there's
were
gonna.
working in Vegas when the shooting happened there. The shooter was elevated in that situation at the Mandalay Bay Hotel, shooting down on a crowd of innocent people at a music festival. Preliminary details are telling us so far that this shooter was outside of the event and at an elevated position. What's the challenge with securing such areas that are within proximity of something big like this?
So the Secret Service has ultimate responsibility for declaring an area safe when it comes down to, an outside appearance by a dignitary like Donald Trump. But you can't. There is no way that you can cover everything. There will be an investigation that takes place into how did this individual get through the security and get into a position where he could take a shot at Mr. Trump. There's going to be a massive investigation as to that. But the reality is when you have an open area to try and protect at every level, at every building, it's a monumental task. In this particular case, there was a breach. This breach could have been fatal to the president, to the former president. And there will be a lot of questions to be answered here.
Okay, so Randy, Andrew Kraft standing by as well. And Andrew, I think you have some more details to share.
Yeah, of course, we're still monitoring all the reaction. We just got a new statement in from the Attorney General, Merrick Garland. He says as follows: I've been briefed on the shooting at former President Trump's rally and have briefed the president, the FBI, ATF, U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Pennsylvania, and the department's National Security Division are currently working with the Secret Service as well as state and local law enforcement partners on the ground in Butler, Pennsylvania. My heart is with the former president, those injured, and the family of the spectator killed in this horrific attack. He says, we will not tolerate violence of any kind, and violence like this is an attack on our democracy. The Justice Department will bring every available resource to bear to this investigation. Randy, you and I have talked so frequently after,
And it
especially
wasn't an
mass
attack on
shootings.
our
This is
democracy, it
not a
was
mass
on
shooting.
an
The
attack on
former
our
president of the United States
constitutional republic.
was struck by a bullet in the right ear here. I want to read out some of the sources saying to Jackie Heinrich at the White House for Fox about the Secret Service's response and some of the alleged and perceived shortcomings from it. A former senior federal law enforcement source to Fox telling Jackie, Secret Service failed. Shooter was high ground, took way too long to get him out, and he was exposed if there was a second shooter. That was an inch away from his assassination. The source adding, they did a good job of putting their lives on the line. And we want to make sure that we're highlighting how quickly they reacted. The Secret Service puts their lives on the line each and every day for not only the President of the United States, but former presidents of the United States and their family members here. Do you share some of these thoughts with the source saying that to Jackie Heinrich, that the entire creation and existence of the Secret Service is for the protection of the president, obviously, and former presidents, and presidential candidates like Trump? Do you think the Secret Service failed here?
I think there's going to be a really active investigation into just that. Of course, that is the job of the Secret Service. And to protect from snipers, well, that's a major part of it. There are unlimited resources that the Secret Service has in order to protect the president, former president, and other dignitaries of that stature. So, unfortunately, the fact that this individual was able to, from a high ground position, get into the position in order to shoot at the president, fire numerous shots, it appears to be. There's going to be a massive investigation into, were there failures? And let's face it, anytime that there is an attack like this and the Secret Service is at the forefront to protect that protectee, you can bet that there's going to be a lot of eyes on this.
And look what happened to our country.
We do apologize for the audio interruption there. We are playing back what we saw earlier, Randy. So, you know, this is something that, as you mentioned, this is going to be quite the investigation that's going to be undertaken here. Where do investigators begin? And maybe if I could lean on your expertise with the festival in Las Vegas, when you're talking about such a mass event with such a high-profile subject, where do you begin?
Well, the first thing they're going to begin with is to do a deep dive into the individual who was killed. They're going to be examining his social media, all of his devices. Was he acting alone? Were there other people that were involved? What was the politics involved with this? There are so many questions to be answered in such a deep investigation that has to take place into the shooter himself, relatives of the shooter, friends of the shooter. This is going to be a massive investigation, especially to determine if there was conspiracy involved. The fact that one individual was killed doesn't mean that there were not other shooters that were in place, but perhaps didn't take a shot. And so that's why this investigation is going to be so critical. There was preliminary indications that came out relative to the politics of the shooter being a follower of Antifa. Of course, we know that Antifa, a loose association of anarchists, individuals who are capable of deep acts of violence, committed incredible acts of violence during the last George Floyd riots, the many other riots as well. So who is the shooter? What was his background? Were there any accomplices? this is going to be the crux of the investigation.
Andrew Kraft, I believe you have another update.
Yeah, and Randy, I was going to ask you, going into the RNC starting Monday, what is the security posture going to look like for Milwaukee, and is it going to be modified in any form? We're learning from the Trump campaign and the RNC. They just put out this joint statement, and it goes as follows. As was communicated, Sarah and I were shocked by the apparent attack on President Trump. We pray for his safety and speedy recovery. We're getting more in. Anthony Albanese, the Australian Prime Minister, saying the incident at former President Trump's campaign event in Pennsylvania today is concerning and confronting. There's no place for violence in the democratic process. I'm relieved to hear reports that former President Trump is now safe. Even more coming in. Viktor Orban, the Hungarian Prime Minister, saying, my thoughts and prayers are with President Trump in these dark hours. Now, before we go to the next one, Orban and Trump, remember, just yesterday, after the NATO summit, met at Mar-a-Lago. Remember, we reported that at the time. Viktor Orban and Trump literally just met a few days ago at Mar-a-Lago at the tail end of the NATO summit there. Of course, we know they have a very close relationship as well there. Orban sending his thoughts. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, our neighbors and allies to the north, saying, I'm sickened by the shooting at former President Trump. It cannot be overstated. Political violence is never acceptable. My thoughts are with former President Trump, those at the event, and all Americans. And then, of course, one more here from Joseph Borrell. He is the foreign representative for the European Union. He says, shocked by the news of the attack on President Trump, which I strongly condemn. Once again, we're witnessing unacceptable acts of violence against political representatives. So we have even more like Giorgia Meloni, the Italian prime minister, saying, I'm following with apprehension the updates from Pennsylvania, where the 45th president of the United States was shot during a rally. She says, my solidarity and my best wishes for a speedy recovery go to him, with the hope that the next few months of the electoral campaign will see dialogue and responsibility prevail over hatred and violence. Also getting this in from Gabriel Boric, the president of Chile, saying violence is a threat to democracies and weakens our life together. We must all reject it. From Chile, I express our unqualified condemnation of what happened today in the United States. We hope for the speedy recovery of former President Trump. The facts are clarified and justice is served. One more coming in from down there in South America. Javier Milei, the president of Argentina, saying this, all my support and solidarity to President and candidate Donald Trump, victim of a cowardly assassination attempt that put his life and that of hundreds of people at risk. So wanted to get that in there as well. He says the desperation of the international left is not surprising, as today it sees its harmful ideology expire and is willing. All right, actually, we're going to step away from this. We do have representatives stepping up there in Butler Township, Pennsylvania. Let's watch.
Are we ready? Is everyone ready? Ready? All right. So my name is Kevin Rojek. That's R-O-J-E-K. I'm the special agent in charge of the FBI Pittsburgh field office. The first thing I want to say is that the FBI stands with the people of Butler County in Western Pennsylvania, and our hearts go out to the victims of this heinous act which occurred today. This is our community, and I want to let the public know that the FBI has deployed a number of our resources, including investigative agents, our evidence response team, bomb technicians, and we have additional resources coming from other field offices, as well as from FBI headquarters, including our evidence response from Quantico, Virginia. We have intelligence analysts as well, working from our field office in Pittsburgh, working feverishly to attempt to identify the individual who did this and any motives behind why this was done. Right now, we need the public's help. Anyone who was on scene who saw anything, who identified any information, please report that to the FBI using either the phone number 1-800-CALL-FBI or online at fbi.gov/Butler. This evening we had what we're calling an assassination attempt against our former president, Donald Trump. It's still an active crime scene. As I mentioned, we have a number of agents on scene. We also are working closely with other federal agencies, our state partners, and our local police partners as well. Again, at this time, we are not prepared to identify who the shooter is. We are close to that identification, and as soon as we are 100% confident in who that individual is, we will share it with the press. With that being said, also, we do not currently have an identified motive, although our investigators are working tirelessly to attempt to identify what that motive was. At this time, I'm going to turn over the podium to Colonel Chris Paris from the Pennsylvania State Police.
Thank you very much. My name is Colonel Chris Paris, P-A-R-I-S, Commissioner of Pennsylvania State Police. I would just like to say that the State Police have been in regular contact with the Governor's Office, and the full support and assets of the entire agency are behind the FBI and our other federal and municipal partners to assist with this investigation. The thoughts and prayers of the Pennsylvania State Police are likewise with the victims of this terrible act. We are prepared to support this investigation in any way, shape, or form, and we stand ready to participate in a full, fair, and competent and thorough investigation. To give you an operational rundown, Deputy Commissioner of Operations, Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens, is behind me, and he will discuss the operational portion that's being conducted by the Pennsylvania State Police. Lieutenant Colonel Bivens.
Good evening. So let me describe for you a little bit about the scene that we have over there. As you know, there was a grandstand, a very large area, a lot of people there when this all unfolded. The former president had come out and begun to speak shortly after 6 o'clock this evening. And within about 10 to 15 minutes, a number of sounds were heard, and it became apparent that shots were being fired in that direction. It was a chaotic scene. Law enforcement, I believe, acted heroically, quickly identifying and neutralizing the threat, as well as responding to assist the various victims. PSP had a significant presence on the scene along with all of our federal partners at the time of the shooting. We have since enhanced that presence significantly, bringing in resources from all over the Commonwealth to ensure that we have a speedy, thorough investigation. We are working very closely with the FBI as we work through this. As you can imagine, because of the variety of crimes that have been committed, some are under federal jurisdiction, some are under state jurisdiction. And so, we're working through all of that, not an issue at all. We work seamlessly, but the FBI has maintained the lead on the attempted assassination. PSP will take the lead on the homicide and the shootings of the other individuals in the grandstand area. And so there are a lot of witnesses to be interviewed, a lot of things to be processed. There were some complicators that hopefully the next time we speak, we can describe for you, but some complicators that slowed down some of the processing and the positive identification of the shooter. But know that at this time, we have no reason to believe that there is any other existing threat out there. We are doing everything we can to make sure that this is thoroughly investigated, and that if there is any information developed that anyone else was involved, that between PSP and the FBI, that will very quickly be followed up on. So I think at this time, we would open it up to questions from all of you.
Was this a lone wolf attack?
Again, I think it's too early to say that. We have one shooter tentatively identified, but we're not stopping there. We're following up on a lot of information. It will be some time until we can conclusively say or answer that question, I think. Again, that'll all be part of the investigation, but that will all be part of the investigation. But I can tell you that preliminarily, it appears everything unfolded very quickly. So, you know, again, we'll have more information on that, but it's just too early to start definitively saying this happened at this exact time. That's correct. We'll have that information for you. It was some distance outside of the security perimeter.
Can you comment on reports that there were people who saw someone on the roof and tried to alert authorities?
We're following up on those. I will tell you that I am aware of those, and I am aware that law enforcement had responded to a number of reports of suspicious activity. The specific response to this will be all part of the after action, but yes, law enforcement was responding to check on several suspicious occurrences.
What were the other suspicious occurrences?
That'll all be part of the investigation.
So you said that you're close to identifying the shooter. Could you at least confirm that he is from Butler County, Pennsylvania? Is there anything else? Did he have any affiliation with that company, do you know?
So again, we're not prepared at this time to provide the identity of the potential shooter. We're in the process of doing the confirmation, and once we have the confirmation, we'll release the name officially to the press. But at this time, we can't give any further information on the potential shooter. No, it's a matter of doing biometric confirmations. So there was no identification on the individual, as an example. So you know, we're looking at photographs right now, and we're trying to run his DNA and get biometric confirmation on.
What's up, Wally?
What police found left behind, any possible devices, did you find any extra guns, just anything else you'd be willing to comment?
Not at this time. No, we're still in the process of an active investigation. So we'd like to reserve releasing any information like that until we have more facts.
Is there any heightened threat level, critical threat level you guys were aware of more so than what is typical for an event like this?
From the FBI's perspective, no. We did not have any specific threat information related to this event.
And I'm gonna ask, you talked about how it happened so quickly, and we know that there is at least 2 casualties, including the gunman at this point that we're aware of. It could have been a lot worse.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Comment more about that and how it was taken care of so quickly.
So I think the credit goes to not only the Secret Service who was on site, but also the state and local partners who were there on site and were able to react immediately when the incident occurred.
Hey, Wally, join the panel if you got time, man.
I understand that it's very early and there's still going to be a lot of questions, but I mean, is this a failure of security?
Really, at this point, we're not going to make that assessment. There's an active investigation. A lot of things need to occur investigatively to make those determinations of what, if any, failures there were. So we can't comment on that at this time.
You can say if Secret Service had checked these buildings or we're keeping a close eye or.
Really have to defer to Secret Service for those questions.
Hey, Marcus, what's up? Why don't you and Wally pull up, man? Pull up on me.
Are you saying the location where the shooter was located? I don't have any information on that. You'd have to defer to Secret Service.
When do you think you will release? When will the name of the shooter be released? I mean, any inkling of when that might happen, tomorrow or?
So that'll be as soon as we've confirmed 100%, we're willing to release that. So if we have, as far as the contact information for the press, we should be able to do that within the next few hours, I imagine.
There was a vehicle being checked not far from here. We've also heard of a possible related scene in Bethel Park. Is there anything you can tell us tonight about other areas where law enforcement may be searching in relation to this?
Again, right now we're tracking down all leads and doing all interviews and tracking anything that we can regarding suspicious locations, vehicles, locations, interviewing individuals. So it's all related to this event, but I can't confirm or deny anything that's going on beyond that.
Can you tell us about the weapon that the shooter used?
As far as the details of the weapon,
Yeah, what kind of rifle was that?
do you want to come on that?
What is used?
Until it's confirmed. Okay, until we have the confirmation of who the shooter is, and we'll release that as part of the investigative details later.
You said that you guys are putting extra resources, and one of the things that you said was bomb technicians. So is this standard procedure, or do you have reason to believe that there are bombs somewhere?
So they're already speculating it was
It's
a
primarily standard
223,
procedure of any.
but they're saying
suspicious
they
packages.
can't
In this case,
speculate
there
on
was
that yet.
Identification of suspicious packages around where the shooter.
Hey, what's
And
up,
I'm not
MJ? Go
saying-
ahead. Hold on. Go ahead and hit that link, MJ. I saw that you were talking about this particular topic earlier today, and that's the reason I hit you up. So if you want to come up here and watch this with us and voice your opinion, I would appreciate it. What's up, Marcus? How you doing, brother?
What's up, Big Don? How you doing, bro? Shout out to everyone, man.
I'm chilling, man. I'm just over here in my other suit on my other account right now. So I'm not actually on my Don GQ, but I am streaming over there. I'm actually streaming to like 6 different platforms right now. So it's all good.
Yeah, I
appreciate
found you on
it.
YouTube, so
Yeah, I'm over there on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. I'm everywhere right now.
Was,
But
and
see-
so we
Come on up here, Wally.
in an abundance of caution.
see, that
assets
one guy
to make
was
sure
the
that
only one
those were
that said
cleared,
223.
for investigators
ABC
to move
News has
safely
been
in the area.
screaming 223
We're
since
still
it
working on. It's still an active crime scene.
Yeah, this
So I'm
me,
not gonna say that the
MJ.
scene is 100% clear at this time. There's-
I have a plethora of different channels and
The
different
Secret Service wasn't
communities.
available for the press conference at this time.
I'm all over YouTube.
I understand that packages that you're talking about, you're talking about packages, but just suspicious packages that I want here to share.
Really anything. I don't have specifics on what they were looking at, but you know, there's people in the crowd will leave bags as they're fleeing the scene like this. So any suspicious packages we have to treat as it may be an explosive.
Yeah, MJ, I got to get away from the chitlin circuit. You know what I mean? I'm everywhere but over there. I ain't got time for the drama.
He said chitlin circuit.
I'm trying to make millions. I'm trying to make billions.
So this is immediate.
Got time for the chitlin circuit.
We're still trying to figure that
got
out.
you, man.
So we'll wait till we have more definitive information regarding that investigatively.
What about the person in the crowd? Do you have any information about how they were killed?
My understanding was it was from the shooter, but again, those will be details that are released later.
Do you search homes or apartments as a part of your method of identifying the individual?
Yeah, MJ.
So if
A lot of
that's
people
where the
done
leads
seen
take
me.
us, absolutely.
But only my friends know what I look like. Don't got time for the drama though. But you welcome over anytime.
I don't have that specific information as far as the injuries to the former president.
I understand you're not releasing the suspect's identification.
Come on up and join the panel.
You know, is this person known to you guys? Is he somebody that you guys have been looking at for your threats he's possibly made online, et cetera, et cetera?
Again, the information that we currently have, we're looking at that obviously
assassination
very
attempt that
intently.
shook the world right now.
And as we know that information, we'll release that.
Man, the whole world is watching this shit, Marcus.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like as soon as that happened, I was like, I didn't believe it. I was like, wait, what?
Well, yeah, when
I'm
it
like, oh.
first happened, I was like, pew pew pew. I was like, there ain't nothing in that shit. The whole world is on pause. I mean, motherfuckers on Mars, people on Mars is watching this shit right now.
Yep.
Bro, people in Russia are like, what the hell? Is like, oh, y'all.
They watching. Everybody watching this. I mean, everybody's watching this right now, and this is going to be news for the
Hey.
next couple of weeks.
Hey, you know, Putin would have been like, you know, I would have made that shot.
I bet Joe Biden was pissed. He was pissed. He was
know-
pissed that it didn't go through.
No, I think it was Kamala. Kamala was more pissed. He's like, I don't care about Biden right now. I was like, man, then.
Man down.
But you do know it's also sets a stage for a more worldly view as well. You
Yeah,
do know
for
that,
sure.
right? Because China's been flexing its muscle pretty hard on Taiwan. Now they might just try to do it now. You know what I'm saying? Because now, right now, we're at a weak spot. We're at a very weak spot where all eyes are away from everything, from what they're doing, things like that. They're all glued on this. Now,
Oh yeah. See, yeah, they're doing some shit on the other. You know, never let the right hand know what, or never let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
They distract you over here while they pull some bullshit over here. See, right now they're probably passing executive laws right now.
Oh, I guarantee you they are.
They are. That's how they do it. They'll call some shit and then they'll go and pass these executive laws when nobody's paying attention. And that's exactly how they get those executive
Well,
laws.
hold on here. It's not a law. It's an executive order. The executive
order.
branch cannot pass no law, and that paper that it's wrote on is no better than the toilet paper you wipe your butt with.
But yeah, even though it's not a law, they treat it like a law.
Right. Only if they
You know
want
what I mean?
Only if they want to. Because if you remember right, how many states told Biden and Obama to go screw themselves over the gun executive orders that they tried to pass? So you see what I'm saying? It's only if they want to go along with it.
And as long as they can
That's
profit
right.
from it too.
Correct. So it's no better than the paper you wipe your butt with, unless they decide to go along with it.
We'll need to plan another time for a follow-up press conference. We're looking at all investigative leads and all everything from, and that's why we asked the public, because I'm sure there'll be cell phone video, there'll be all kinds of information that we'll use to fully flesh out exactly what happened here.
I know you're saying you can't say what type of gun it is, but do you know how many shots were fired?
I don't.
And
I don't have that information as far as that. That'll come out in the investigation as well.
Is there an identification tonight on the other victims?
As far as the civilians,
civilians that were injured and killed.
Yeah.
So we do have identification on those. We're not prepared to release it at this time. We have notified a number of family members, but they have not had an opportunity to notify extended family and things. I would confirm for you that we did have one individual killed, and I know I heard somebody say about 2 victims. There were 3 in total besides the former president. So 2 critically wounded, 1 killed.
At this point, you know they were sitting near each other and where in relation to the former president?
I don't have their exact seating by individual. Again, that'll all be part of the investigation, but their shots were scattered somewhat, and so they weren't just into one particular location.
you're saying just one fatality as of right now?
Yes,
The shooter and the one fatality.
the shooter plus 1 fatality.
Okay.
So there was 1 victim of the shooter who was killed, and then the shooter was killed.
And then 2 incredible.
Yes, ma'am.
Witnesses say they saw a semi-automatic rifle used by the shooter. Can you share any details of that?
I've heard those reports as well, and again, we do have a good idea of what the weapon was, but again, that's all part of the ongoing investigation. And I'm not trying to be cagey about that. You know, when the SAC talked about the need to be very methodical and to be cautious with that scene, we are doing just that. We don't want anybody else getting hurt. And candidly, there are some concerns that we'll be able to talk more about later on about just what those concerns are and continue to be.
Have you talked to the shooter's family yet?
That's all part of the investigation.
After the event, there were a lot of really angry people. Are you monitoring? Have there been any threats in response to this? Are you worried? Have there been any specific threats?
That's certainly a concern, and you know, we're monitoring that whole situation. I mentioned that, you know, we're bringing a lot of assets to bear, and so like the FBI utilizing their analysts, we also have the Pennsylvania Criminal Intelligence Center. We will utilize the resources of our intelligence division and the Criminal Intelligence Center to be able to monitor for concerns about any threats, regardless of the the side of the issue or the political spectrum, we want to make sure that we try and avoid any further violence.
But no, nothing specific so far.
No, sir.
Without identifying them by name, can you say anything about the other folks who were injured or killed? Were they adults, men, male, female, anything else?
They were adults and they're male.
All three.
Yes.
How difficult it is for your department to know where all your departments get from top? You see how many members of the civilians who were run down on this to rally and try and, celebrate against the upcoming election? What are those conversations like and how do you tackle through that?
We have trained investigators and we're partnered hand in hand with the FBI again because we've got some federal violations, some state violations. And so our investigators are going out methodically. We have a large team of investigators that are going out, dividing up these interviews and trying to conduct them as quickly as possible. And then there'll be follow-ups, with the FBI asking for people to call in tips. I have no doubt that we will receive a lot of additional information that will also require follow-up. But again, we're working very well together. And
What's up, Genesis? How you doing?
Until we get through all of those interviews.
How close and cold was it for President Trump?
There were no police hit with bullets.
From your experience, how close and cold was it for?
I'm not going to speculate or comment on that.
Have any of you talked to the president? Did any of you have any kind of reaction?
No.
Which law enforcement agencies were?
What's up, Gray Pill?
During this particular rally outside of the United States Secret Service?
Well, Secret Service
Well,
always
GP.
has the lead on securing
Look
something
at
like this,
GP
but then
here.
they work very closely.
GP.
Yeah, that's GP. What's up, GPP? What's up, Gray Pill, man? Hit the link and come on up here.
Hey, I told you, Gray Pill, they're coming after him. They're coming after him.
What's up, Genesis? How you doing? Yeah, Gray Pill, hit that link, bro. Get up here.
And I hate to use the word routine, but it is a fairly routine matter for all of our agencies to work jointly with the Secret Service. And it really depends on the venue, on what information is out there, what number of resources are devoted to it. And we work with them to provide whatever is requested by the Secret Service, but they're the lead in that security.
Was there anything about this venue that made it particularly difficult to secure?
I would defer to the Secret Service to answer that. They would have done the initial assessment.
Was the rooftop part of what was being secured? Was the rooftop, given its proximity to the event, part of that process?
It's my understanding that was outside of the perimeter.
Did you shoot at any previous criminal history?
We're not going to comment on anything about the shooter.
Did the agency deny Trump's team extra security? Any of the agencies that are out there?
Not that I'm aware of.
If Trump had been the nominee already, would he have had additional security for this event?
There again, Secret Service has the lead, and I'm not going to comment or speculate on what may or may not be provided at any given point, depending on their status as a candidate. What I will tell you is that in my experience, the Secret Service does an excellent job of maintaining security on protectees. They're very cautious. They don't hesitate to ask for resources, and candidly, we don't hesitate to supply those resources.
You're asking for the public's help. Can you elaborate and be more specific about what you really like to see? Videos, photos, personal accounts.
I think the video.
Gray Pill tripping. What's up, Gray Pill? Just got off work.
I think that once the shooter is identified, anyone that has specific information on that shooter.
Yeah, I saw the picture. I actually saw him deceased. MJ. Yeah, we got the picture, man, and it don't look good. I don't have the picture of him before, but we have the picture of him after. So I'm still trying to find information on him as far as, before he got deceased. I'll be looking. Let me see if I can find some images of him. They should, because they got everything else of him.
That would be very helpful as well to help us assess motive. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we are absolutely not taking for granted that this was a lone wolf attack. And so we would be looking for any additional information that might point us toward anybody else that may have had a hand in this.
Sir, at this point, what is the main focus of the investigation? What's the most important thing for you right now, a few hours?
Well, there's not any one single focus. I mean, certainly the immediate focus was life safety, getting the former president out of there and to care, getting care to the other victims and trying to secure the scene as quickly as possible. It shifted then from a life safety priority to then an investigative priority. And so I guess if I had to point to where we are right now, the single greatest priority would be to identifying a motive and whether there was anyone else involved.
We're just beginning the political season. Are you guys concerned with all of these rallies that happen and how they're set up? Or is this gonna change maybe the venues?
Again, I would refer you to the Secret Service in terms of what they work out with the campaigns. We will continue to supply resources, as I'm sure the FBI will, and local partners as well.
When this was announced, it was, it was quite a few days in the heads up that people were getting ready for this Trump rally. From a law enforcement perspective, when you announce an event like this, all that time in advance, it will leak out. Does it give people more time to plan something like this?
Well, I suppose, but there's a balance. I would think that any of the campaigns on either side try to weigh. I mean, the point of them announcing it, I suspect, is because they want the crowd. And so it's not up to us in law enforcement to tell them when they should announce or how they should announce or how they should conduct it. We offer our best advice. Again, working hand in hand with the Secret Service, offer our best advice of how best to secure and protect that venue.
Sir, considering how many people were there.
What's up, Alonzo?
In there, and you have somebody in
How you doing, man?
elevated position with potentially a high-powered rifle.
I haven't seen you in a minute.
Talking about a couple of victims, as sad and tragic as that is.
Well, we're certainly grateful that we don't have even more victims. And again, in terms of how this could have occurred, that will be part of this after action report and an investigation that occurs so that we can hopefully ensure that something like this doesn't happen again.
Has an autopsy been conducted yet, or is it scheduled?
It has not been conducted yet. I do not.
If somebody has some videos or photos, where should they send it?
So we have the 1-800 call FBI if you have audio tips, and then we set up a specific tip line for audio and video, and that's fbi.gov/Butler.
And they should send you just like any video?
Anything that anyone has that is related to this incident that they think may be of assistance investigatively, we'll take anything and we'll analyze it and we'll make the determination if it's of investigative value. Go ahead.
So from what you've been briefed on, it sounds like law enforcement only knew he was up there until shots were fired. Is that what you're hearing?
So that is the assessment at this time. That
So are you surprised that a sniper was able to fire off a handful of shots at the former president? I mean,
again, we're still working through the security apparatus that the Secret Service had in place, what potentially happened. That there's going to be a long investigation into exactly what took place and how the individual was able to get access to the location, what type of weapon he had. All that is really days, weeks, and months of investigation.
he was able to get off like 4 or 5 shots.
It is surprising, but again, to get the true, all the details of that will come out later in an investigation.
Going back to the perimeter of this building, I think it's really difficult for people to understand that this building with a very high vantage point, some 100 meters away from where this is happening, isn't part of that perimeter. What goes into that conversation over what is in and out and why wouldn't that be?
Again, the Secret Service really needs to answer that question. They conduct the initial site survey. They do the initial security assessments and determine where the different security locations should be. And they're the ones who are in charge of securing the scene. We, along with other state and local assets, are there to support the Secret Service and their mission.
How many troopers and agents were at the rally?
Hey, you know what I was thinking too, John?
And how is that
What's
number
that?
determined?
I'm thinking if Trump wins again, you know the number of
So I don't have the
assassination
specific
attempts they might try to go on him?
Yep. It's crazy.
If they already tried it before, when he was already ex-president, what makes them they won't try again even after if they didn't even care?
No, they don't care.
Well, they tried it with Ronald Reagan twice, so. Just
Yeah, I
saying.
remember that.
Yeah, I want to see how this shit's gonna play out.
Yeah, I'm telling you now, we're in for a rocky ride, I think, until at least minimum of November. And it may even get worse in November.
Man, history is being made right as we speak.
I doubt you do as well.
No, I can speak just for PSP. We had physically on site there, probably 30 to 40 members of PSP, but we also have additional resources in the area. We utilize aviation, for example, and a variety of other resources, dogs to sweep beforehand that really aren't counted in that. And again, the number is driven by what the request is from the Secret Service. You know, just in their defense, I mean, what I would want to say is it is incredibly difficult to have a venue open.
What's up, Wally?
To secure that against any possible threat,
What's
against a
good?
very determined attacker. That's a huge lift to try and do it. And, you know, again, the investigation will really give us an opportunity to take a look at where any failures occurred and what can be done better in the future.
Do you know when another briefing might be held?
We don't have one scheduled, but I would tell you we will let you know and give you plenty of notice. Certainly, as soon as additional things develop that would be noteworthy or of interest to you, we'll get that scheduled and have another with you.
Locally, what can residents, businesses expect to happen with the investigation over the next couple of days? Like, what's going to be going on there?
Well, again, the interviews will all be occurring, and so they may see law enforcement in their communities. People came from a wide area to come to this rally, I'm told. So, you know, there's going to be law enforcement fanning out, and as additional calls, photos, videos come in, you know, those additional interviews will result in law enforcement being out in the community conducting those interviews. But otherwise, they really shouldn't see any other significant impact in the community.
Confirm whether it's a male or female, the homicide, the bystander who died,
It's a male,
a male?
yes.
Didn't they already ask
I'm
that?
from a European outlet from Poland, and I'm.
They've asked it like twice now.
From, you know,
That would be the third
people
time,
are
actually.
asking, how could this happen? What's going on in America? I know that it's a philosophical question, but how could you talk to the people outside the United States about what happened here in Dublin?
Well, again, what I would say is a tragic incident that occurred. We're not in a position to start second guessing how or why or anything else at this point. Just know that it will be thoroughly investigated. If there is anyone to prosecute, that will be done, and we'll move forward. But I don't have a good answer for you.
We'll just take one last question.
I know that PSP said that you guys were not aware of any additional requests from the Trump team for security. What about the FBI? Was there an additional request for additional security from the Trump team, and was that denied in any way, shape, or form?
No, there was no additional request for security that was ever denied by the FBI.
What does the FBI do in these events? Like, what is your role?
So we showed up after the fact. We were monitoring the event, but it was once the incident occurred that we come and we take the primary jurisdiction for the investigation. Thank you. We'll, as we have additional information, we'll provide it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me find out they were at a Starbucks.
All right, Andrew Kraft back here in the anchor chair. You were just
They didn't even
listening
tell
there
us shit.
to officials.
They didn't tell us nothing we already
from
knew.
The FBI and from the Pennsylvania
They didn't
State
tell us
Police,
shit.
and from Butler
All
Township,
that for nothing.
Pennsylvania law enforcement.
I was
as
just
well
a whole
here.
bunch
We're
of
going to go
let's
over some of the key highlights.
jockey around the bush there.
And the
That was
FBI
it.
put out this statement. They are asking the public for information in the form of audio, video, what have you. They said the FBI has assumed the role of the lead federal law enforcement agency in the investigation of the incident involving former President Donald Trump that occurred earlier today in Butler, Pennsylvania. Special agents of the FBI Pittsburgh field office responded immediately to include crisis response team members and evidence
What's up,
response
Canada? Long
technicians.
time no
We
see,
will continue
brother.
to support this investigation with the full resources of the FBI, alongside our partners of the U.S. Secret Service and state and
What
local
channel
law
are you on?
enforcement.
What channel you watching
Anyone
from,
with
Canada?
information that may assist with the investigation is asked to call our tip line at 1-800-CALL-FBI. And if we could take that tweet full here, that's great. So you can see the number 1-800-CALL-FBI there as well. Now, in the meantime, we are going to be replaying that press conference a little bit later on. We're going to go over some of the key highlights. You heard there first from Kevin Rojek. He's the special agent in charge of the FBI Pittsburgh field office. You also heard from Joseph Price, the ATF assistant special agent in charge of Philadelphia, and Colonel Christopher Paris. He's the Pennsylvania State Police Commissioner as well. You also heard from Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens of the Pennsylvania State Police. Let's go over some of these key highlights that we got from that press conference. Still no identification on the suspected shooter. They are using FBI resources. Now, remember what was confirmed, which we had heard earlier this afternoon, that the shooter did not have identification on them. We now know that has been confirmed. No suspect ID on the shooter as well. Law enforcement says it's working close to identifying the suspect. They say they are close. They say they have a tentative identification, but they made it abundantly clear they were not going to release the identification of the suspect during that press conference there. They don't have a motive yet for said suspect. They're working tirelessly to figure out a motive. They're asking the public for help. We just put up the FBI tip line there for rally attendees to call and offer possibly video or audio evidence that they
Don was at
might
the
have. They
rally
are
like, I
confirming
was
the
never here.
investigation is an assassination attempt on a former president. They're working with federal, state, and local agencies as well. State police has been in contact with the governor,
Munch.
Josh Shapiro. They say there is no existing threat to the wider community at this point in time. Also,
He
the
was
FBI
promoting
said
his
they were
stripper
looking
TikTok
into
channel.
several suspicious occurrences ahead of the rally.
You still got the strippers?
So hopefully, and they were asked about this, that they're going to have more
Yo,
details
oh, that's for the money.
on a yet to
They
be
ain't going
That's the money
nowhere.
right there.
next
I need
press
to go
conference. We don't know
work
when
on that
that's going
channel.
to be. They indicated there is going to
Trying
be
to get
another
some
one.
new
We just don't know
content.
when or where
Yeah.
as well. But this,
I just been lazy. I've been
they
working on
said they
other
were
shit,
looking into
man.
several, quote, suspicious
Oh,
Thought he was
Canada,
suing
you
you?
ahead of the rally.
Canada,
Don't
you
know
on the
entirely what that
WCN
means.
live stream
They said it
podcast
there
channel?
as well. They confirmed, like I said,
The
the
orange
suspected
one?
shooter did not have identification on them. Now, the FBI was deferring a lot of questions to the Secret Service. Now, you might know, and you probably noticed, I made a point of this. The Secret Service was not there. It was not represented at the briefing that we just heard, that we just watched there. So take of that what you will as well. They said this, the FBI, of course, they could not make it in time to the press conference. Also, they said they have a good idea of what the weapon was that was used in this. Remember, we have referred to it from our reporting as an AR-style weapon. They were not willing to say yet what that weapon was. They said that's
MJ,
part of
you
the
still here?
ongoing investigation. That's been a question I've had all throughout the course of the afternoon and evening here. What weapon was it? What type was it? They said they had a good idea of it, but they were not going to disclose or divulge that as well. They say this is a very active crime scene still. The campaign rally site at the stockyards there in Butler. They say they're being cautious with the scene. They say some ongoing concerns, but they were not willing to elaborate. They confirmed one rally attendee was killed. All we know about that is that attendee was male. 2 others were wounded. We know those 2 others were males as well. They say a lot of bags and other personal items were left at the rally, so much so that some of them were searched, and there was somewhat of a heightened presence on some of these suspicious, nondescript bags still at the rally site that were investigated. That's what they told us. They said when attendees scrambled, law enforcement had to check out all of those items to make sure they did not pose a threat to the ongoing investigation now at that active crime scene in Butler. They say investigators are going at it methodically. They say no law enforcement was struck by gunfire or bullets. Secret Service had the lead on securing the event, and they worked with law enforcement. You heard that question there. Did the Trump campaign ask for more protection in the wake of this? They could not comment on that as well. They didn't have those details. They say no autopsy has been conducted yet on the shooting suspect. Also, you heard there that Polish journalist asking, what does this say about the United States of America? How do you describe this
Hold
to
on there.
foreigners
Can you
watching?
stop that for a second? He said something there that was totally wrong. He said that they couldn't comment on if Trump or the Secret Service asked for any additional help. They said that to their knowledge, there was no additional help asked. And that's what the FBI guy said.
Okay.
So how'd he get from what the FBI guy said to that he said he couldn't comment on it?
Well, we're going to get a lot of conflicting stories about this. You know what I mean? There's going to be all different types. Everybody's going to spin the narrative, and they're going to. You got to remember, a lot of these people don't like Trump, the media, so they're gonna put their own 2 cents in. They're gonna change it up. They're gonna switch the narrative up to fit their, to fit their agenda. So
Stormy
I'm glad you
Daniels,
got
Grandma
ears. Yeah,
Cookie.
so that's why we got to be able to read between the lines when we're dealing with the media. You know what I mean? Because they use trickery. Politics is nothing more than parlor tricks. You know what I mean? Sleight of the hand movements and shit.
Don't forget Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen. What is that guy? The Stephen Colbert. All those late night talk show guys. They're gonna try to make like a spin out of it too. Like
Oh
those
yeah,
freaking.
they
bought
gonna
off
have a
people.
ball. They gonna have a ball with this shit because
Oh,
they
yeah.
already hate Trump. So I already see the monologues coming now. I see the jokes coming now. I see it coming now, man. It's coming.
But did you see what I said? They're attacking the hell out of them Secret Service agents.
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
they are. Of course.
And them Secret Service agents don't listen to Biden. You see what I'm saying? That's why they're going after the attack on them right now.
And then I also heard that
if they were Biden agents, they wouldn't have a word to say about them except for good shit.
And you know what? I also heard that Trump requested more Secret Service agents, and Biden denied him more Secret Service agents. So I don't know how true that is, but this is a lot of shit that's coming down the pipeline. I've been trying to follow this all day. I've been all over the internet, a lot of different articles, newsletters. So I have a lot of information in the archives.
I know what Biden said. He said Vice President Kamala Trump. I mean Donald Trump. He doesn't need no more agents. He needs to go sit down and relax. That's what he's probably saying right now. That's what he said.
Man, it's gonna get wild. I wonder what Trump's gonna say in his next
You forgot Biden's the first black woman president too.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. I heard about what he said. He messed that up bad, man.
Yeah. Biden he be messing everything up, man. He congratulated Putin, and he was supposed to be talking about Ukraine. You saw that shit?
The opposite.
Yeah.
Hey, I have to say, if he's gonna try to congratulate Batman, he's gonna say, "Hey, congratulations to Joker. He just beat the guy in the Gotham."
Well, what about him talking about? What about him talking about screwing the dude from the UN's wife too? I mean, come on. Y'all see that one?
Yeah, I think I have.
Biden told Trump, "You thought I was feeling you?"
Munch. No, and you know what's funny is they were showing. Remember a couple of years ago when he was people were giving their kids to him to hug. He starts sniffing the kids and shit, all weird, and he's like, "Get this kid away from me," or he kind of smells funny, and then he ends up saying the N-word all crazy and stuff, and bro, that happened not too long ago. This dude's getting people's kids and sniffing them and shit, looking at all weird. I couldn't stop, bro. I couldn't stop. This guy's weird, bro. I don't get why he's the president.
Well, I know that the Biden saying that he was filling up Trump much. That's a lie because Trump's almost 80 some years old. Okay, he's not a kid, so just saying.
Shit.
The only thing he fills up is kids. Just saying.
Yeah, because that's what was happening in that video they were showing. Like he's like getting the kids and all that, and like they're trying to hug him, and he's like, kids trying to say, like, "Mom, like get this guy away from me" and shit like that. He's all freaked out and all that. It's like,
Well,
Hey,
he also
MJ.
told the story about in the pool where he's letting little kids rub on his long hair legs. Come on.
oh hell no.
I can
Oh
tell you now,
hell no.
if I see
Yeah.
some old man letting my kid rub off on his
Oh
old
yeah.
legs,
No, I'm
I'd be
punching that
whooping
guy
an
in the
old
face.
man's butt. I'm just
Yeah, I
saying.
remember that. I remember that when he said he used to hang out at the black swimming pool and let the kids rub his legs and stuff.
Yeah, he did.
Yo, no. He said that
Oh
out
He
loud?
man,
did.
yeah, he sure did, man. He said a whole bunch of shit out loud. Hey,
Oh
MJ.
no.
Hey, check this out. MJ want to know: has anybody checked which bills are trying to be pushed through Senate right now? So we need to check that out. That's what we were discussing earlier,
Correct.
as far as the executive orders. Because I know anytime we have a situation like this, something is happening on the other end. So yeah, we need to see what type of bills they're trying to push through the Senate.
Probably
This is
to give
perfect
more
time.
money to freaking Ukraine. I
Yeah, they
wouldn't
were
be
already talking about
surprised.
that. They're also talking about sending more money to the Middle East again too, like another aid
Right.
bill.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go send Hamas some more money.
Yeah, I was like, bruh, are you kidding me?
All right, Wally just sent me some information. Let me go ahead and share this with you guys and see if we can make any sense of this.
That's just a list,
said-
but I don't know if like how current. Well, I know like there's certain parts of it that's current, but yeah.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna drop this link for this so you guys can take time and go check it out yourself. Basically, it's the legit scan. It's bills pending U.S. Congress, Senate, Judiciary Committee. So these are all upcoming bills they're trying to push through. So this is good information to know, man, because a lot of people don't know how to obtain this information. They don't know where to look for it. But I'm not going to read through any of it, but I will drop the link for you guys that want to go and check it out yourself. And so that way you'll know what's going on. Let me go ahead and paste that into the chat. Look, firearms. I see a bill to modernize the business of selling firearms. Basically saying, hey, we want to control how you sell your firearms. A bill to remove
Money.
a bill to remove aliens who fail to comply with release orders. So we got aliens coming down in spaceships, and now if they fail to comply,
You stupid. You fool.
I was just messing,
Yo,
but that's
crazy.
what. Yeah, but they talking about the illegal aliens, but yeah, not the aliens on the spaceship. I was just making a joke. But
Illegal spaceship aliens without paperwork. I got you.
they're gonna get deported.
There is one big one right now as far as being able to purchase firearms. It's HR 7910.
Mm-hmm.
It's they're trying to pass it to get to up the age of the limit of purchase of weapons.
Now, I don't know if you guys can read this. I'm going to drop this link also. This is congress.gov. Most viewed bills. All right. Now, we have a impeachment for Joseph R. Biden Jr., President of the United States, for high crimes and misdemeanors. All right. So they do have a bill in place that they're trying to impeach the president. I don't know if y'all been following that. I've actually been following the Senate, the impeachment process of Joe Biden. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop this link so you guys can take your time and go through it and check this stuff out. But these are some of the things that we the people need to know and we need to understand, because these are some of the things they keep away from us. You know what I mean? They don't want you to know this shit.
Oh yeah. Yep, you
All right,
are
let's get.
correct. There's a lot out there they don't want us to know out there
Yep.
right now.
All right, let's go ahead and check this out. We're on CBS News right now. Let's see what they talking about.
Well, guys, I'm going to drop out. You try to have a good night. I need to get some rest. I need to be up at 5 o'clock to go to work. So
Well, let me start with this.
Peace out,
y'all have
son.
a
Nice,
good night,
nice
guys.
talking with you.
know why? You want me to just
All right, man. I appreciate you coming.
United States of America there. He wouldn't speculate or comment on that as well. He says if there is anyone to prosecute, we will. That's what the police said as well. In the meantime, here, we do want to go to a quick commercial break. On that security question, though, before we do that, Jennifer Griffin there at the Pentagon saying officials, Secret Service protection for former President Trump was strengthened recently, and it was normal as RNC convention approached. Suggestion that DHS rejected the request by the Trump team for more protection. Not true there. Coming from Jennifer Griffin, officials saying that to her there. So wanted to make sure we stipulated that. Let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll be diving into more details from that press conference you just watched live. We'll see you in 2 minutes.
Treated for that gunshot wound to his ear. But a shocking moment. That shooter was killed. One person attending the rally was killed, and 2 others at least were critically wounded. All adult men, we're learning now. And again, just take a look at this.
What's up, Lucky Laptop?
Shocking video.
Welcome back, brother.
Trump could be seen reaching for his face and neck, then quickly ducking behind the podium as his Secret Service detail rushed the stage.
Now, up here to the right hand in the corner, there's a dead man up here. And then there's another guy who got shot up under the arm. So one bystander said that the guy that got shot, that died, got shot in the head, and he had brain matter all over the place.
Oh, that brain splat. Oh.
Several loud bangs continued, the former president appearing to be injured, but still pumping his fist to supporters before he was whisked off the stage. A close-up shot shows blood coming from the former president's ear. A spokesperson for the Trump campaign also weighing in, saying, quote, President Trump thanks law enforcement and first responders for their quick action during this heinous act. He is fine and is being checked out at a local medical facility. Witnesses who were at the rally described the frightening moments when they realized what was happening.
Somebody started yelling, hit the ground, hit the ground. And when I looked over, then I saw the smoke from the gunfire.
Just heard pop, pop, pop. Right away, you think, well, maybe firecrackers, and you're kind of stunned. And then fire, and then like return fire, and then get down. So we got down, and we huddled, and we just started praying.
President Biden addressing the nation after the shooting, denouncing the violence, and wishing Trump a speedy recovery.
The idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it. Everybody.
And we do know now that President Biden did call and speak with former President Trump. And Andrew, I know we were both listening closely to that FBI and state police press conference. The FBI coming out clearly calling this an assassination attempt. They're still not identifying that shooter, though they did say that could be coming soon. They're working on that right now. They still don't have a motive for this person, not getting into any of those details. One thing I thought was interesting, the FBI saying they didn't have a specific threat of something like this happening ahead of time here. Still so many questions, though, about how somebody could climb up onto a roof so close to such a high-profile event. Yeah. A lot of those questions, as you noted before the break, were being deferred to the Secret Service, and no representative from the Secret Service was there. So still so many questions, and we do expect another press conference at some point, Andrew.
Yeah, Connor, at some point. We don't know when or where just yet. But this moment when they refer to suspicious occurrences, they're ahead of the rally. No doubt that's going to have to be answered for as well. Many members of Congress, including Speaker Johnson, Chairman Comer, are calling for some of these officials from the Secret Service to come
calling you out.
And explain
We're calling you
exactly
out.
what happened.
GPP.
They also confirmed that no identification on the suspected shooter as well. And you could maybe make the leap that that is why they are being so cautious, that they said they have a tentative identification, but they don't want to release it yet. Because that's the question on so many of our minds. Who did this? Right, Connor?
That's right. They're even going as far as taking DNA samples, trying to make sure they're absolutely sure before they identify someone in such a high-profile crime, an assassination attempt on a former president. You know, another thing I forgot to mention earlier, you know, you have so much going on in a situation like this. The FBI even looking into some suspicious packages. They had to bring their bomb techs in to take a look at just in case, to be safe. You know, not going into a lot of details about the weapon, although we heard it was an AR-style rifle. So much still to unpack here in this investigation. It's still very much a crime scene there in Butler, Pennsylvania. And it sounds like we're just going to have to wait and hear more from the Secret Service on how exactly this happened.
All right, Connor Hansen there live for us in New York. Connor, can't thank you enough. Talk soon.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right, in the meantime here, we do want to provide you more details. It's about 9:36 here on the West Coast, a little after 12:30 there in the very early Sunday morning. In the meantime here, we're getting this in. The Trump campaign has created a GoFundMe account and a GoFundMe page for the victims who were injured and the victim who was killed in this as well. There you say support for Butler, PA victims. President Trump authorized just about not even 10 minutes ago. It was at $9,000. It's now at $57,000, almost $58,000 out of a $1 million goal there. So you can say this President Trump authorized GoFundMe page for so many Americans to donate to now the families of some of these victims, two of whom are critically injured, being treated at Allegheny County Hospital, one of whom lost their life today. We were learning from that press conference, all of these victims were males as well here. That was a new piece of information that we got here. So
Freaking
President Trump has
misandry.
authorized this account as a place for donations to the supporters and families wounded or killed in today's brutal and horrific assassination attempt. All donations will be directed to these proud Americans as they grieve and recover. May God bless and unite our nation. So wanted to make sure we got that in there as well. That was from the Trump campaign. So we do want to take just a quick commercial break. Before we go, we are getting more details as well into some of those individuals who are injured today at this campaign rally. I want to put this tweet up from Republican Congressman Ronnie Jackson. He tweets this: "My nephew was injured at the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Thankfully, his injury was not serious and he is doing well. My family was sitting in the front, near where the president was speaking. They heard shots ringing out. My nephew then realized he had blood on his neck and something had grazed and cut his neck. He was treated by the providers in the medical tent. Thank you to all those that have reached out to check on him. Please join my family and me in praying for all who were injured and the life lost. The president and the survivors are lucky to be alive." We do know that there were many members of Congress, including from the Republican Pennsylvania congressional delegation, also the GOP Senate candidate in Pennsylvania, Dave McCormick, and his family were also there as well, seated in the front row, as so many luminaries, local, state, and federal, who attend some of these election rallies and campaign rallies as well. So Ronnie Jackson, of course, who served as the White House physician for former President Obama and former President Trump, and is now a Republican member of Congress from Texas. Wanted to get that in there as well before we go to a quick commercial break. In the meantime here, we will see you in 2 minutes. When we come back, we'll be breaking down more key details of that press conference you just watched. We'll be showing you that press conference again in full at the top of the next hour. So that's the right now very bare, brief demographic descriptor of the shooter, Hal. Not that we can glean much from that. I guess your initial thoughts on that information.
Well, everyone is kind of conditioned from movies and everything else to think of the lone wolf shooter, and everyone does think okay, this could be another Lee Harvey Oswald or something like that. And I would point out look, there's still a lot of discussion whether Lee Harvey Oswald was truly a lone wolf. There's even discussion as to whether he was even the shooter. So, but if you go back to President Lincoln, that was a conspiracy of multiple individuals. Now, somebody who's 20 years old uh, could have been, and they're going to be looking very closely at this, could have been radicalized into some sort of extremist belief system online. And could be in that area, but there's a lot of things they have to look at to figure out who this individual is. It may turn out that the individual is a lone wolf assassin, but they're going to be working on these issues. And of course, they're ramping up security everywhere with the idea that even if there wasn't an active conspiracy, that others out there might be inspired by what they just saw to go do something. And that sort of copycat phenomena is something that they always have to be aware of whenever you have an event of this nature.
Hal, before we get into more details from that press conference, and there were a lot, even in these initial press conferences, sometimes law enforcement is very loath to provide any information. They didn't provide that much, but there was enough to talk about right now. We don't know when law enforcement is going to have another press conference. They indicated they will. We just don't know when. And so we're getting this demographic profile of the suspected shooter. And so actually, okay, we are getting more details in. Hal, this is a new video of former President Trump here from Margot Martin. This is brand new. This was just put on social media here. Margot Martin is the Deputy Director of Communications for the Trump campaign. And there you can see Trump. You can see him exit what he calls Trump Force One, his private plane. And
I'm sure everyone's going to be looking to see the bandages on his ear. That'll probably be something that's discussed tomorrow. But that shot, to have a shot impact so close to his head, there's going to be a lot of people talking about the ballistics and the nature and marksmanship of whatever happened there. And of course, we'll find out more about the weapon that was used. But that is extremely close to someone's head. I mean, that is actually, they did impact his general head area, if you will, as a grazing shot. But frankly, it's going to come down to if he had not turned his head a certain way at exactly the time, this could be a catastrophic situation. This could have been it could have been a fatal shot. So that's going to be talked about a lot in the coming days, weeks, months. Is just how close this thing came. And of course, that will also go to how did the sniper get in position? How did the sniper get so close? Did they know the sniper was there? As there are some indications that they may have actually had the sniper under observation for some time before, and it's not quite sure how much time before shots were fired. So that's all. These are all things that they're going to have to look at very closely. Because we look at it now, and it's certainly the what happened, the wound, if you will, was not that serious, but it could have been catastrophic, and it was very close to that. It was just a matter of trajectory and ballistics, and the former president, is very fortunate that nothing worse happened. Of course, if you needed an idea of just how bad it could have been, well, obviously there were those in the bleachers around the president. There was a fatality, and a couple of people were critically injured or seriously injured, and so it does give you a sense for just how serious this could have been.
Hey, I mean, Hal, he's running for president again. He's 78 years old. He was shot in the ear by an attempted assassination today. And he's walking off of his plane. This was in New Jersey, from what I am told here. So presumably he's maybe going to his club there in Bedminster for the night. We're about a day away from the RNC in Milwaukee.
Wait,
and
Trump
there he
is 78 years old?
walking down. I mean, I don't want to kind of philosophize here.
He
or
don't act
rhapsodize
like it.
about this, but
And he definitely don't move like it.
Yo, I'm so
of what
upset.
it could have
That's
been,
what I'm
Hal, to your
saying.
point about how different this night could have been. Yes, there is Someone dead. The
I
shooter
thought he
is
was like
dead as
60
well.
something.
Yeah, Trump told that bullet, you thought I was feeling you?
2 people injured. The investigation
Dodge.
is ongoing,
Munch.
but Trump is there walking down Trump Force One.
He's he has come through this. There's I'm sure I think he's pretty
You know what he told the shooter?
and I think you saw
You know what he told the
that
shooter?
when he popped up. He immediately put
He
his
told the
fist
shooter,
up in
"You're
the air,
fired."
and he was basically, despite everything that was going on, despite the threat to his life, he wanted to make sure that everyone saw that he was unbowed by what had just occurred, and those pictures will be circulating for quite some time, certainly throughout the campaign. But the fact that here he is getting off Air Force One, walking down as if it's business as usual, I think a lot of his supporters will be looking at that, saying, "Okay, that's President Trump," and that's what they're looking at, and I'm not surprised. But the reality is, he's whatever else is said. He probably does need to talk to somebody.
Okay, that's my question. Hal, that's my question. I mean, will Trump be interviewed by the FBI, by the Secret Service, by Pennsylvania
yes.
State Police?
Absolutely. He's
Wow.
going to be interviewed by everybody. I'm talking to somebody, when you come out of an experience like that, even if you're not injured that seriously, you need to talk to somebody, because that will have an effect on you over time. And right now, he's just, you get out of it and you go, okay, you shake it off and you move on. But you do need to kind of process what has happened there.
Right.
But he's going to get a chance to process the whole thing as part of the investigation. The FBI is going to be, is leading the investigation. Just to point out, the FBI has the robust and investigative capabilities. They have more investigators, they have more analysts, they have more scientific capabilities, they have all these things that they can do. Secret Service is a pretty significant organization.
Yeah.
They can do a lot of things, but they are not as big by a long stretch as the FBI. And so the FBI is going to be doing the investigation of what's going on and looking for other possible, threads, if you will, to lead to others that be involved or knew what was going on and everything else involved. Plus, this is kind of what they do with terrorism all the time, so they'll be involved. Of course, ATF, as you saw, was on the podium. They're going to be looking at the weapon and working all of the issues from that standpoint with the weapon, the ballistics, all those things as well, bringing a lot of to bear. And then, of course, you have, it's not just the former president. You also have someone who was killed. You have 2 other people who were shot, and that's a local jurisdiction investigation. So they'll be working very closely. Pennsylvania State Police was up there, but also the local authorities in Butler will be working very closely together to do an investigation, a criminal investigation, as far as everything there. So it's somewhere out there is a joint operations center that has been set up where they're working through all the details on this. And I would imagine at this time, because of what's occurred, that has probably transitioned to an FBI lead. Because the security side has been addressed. It's now the investigative side that takes precedence.
So, Hal, more details from the Associated Press and Fox News about the suspected shooter. It's been identified as a 20-year-old male from the local Butler County area. And as we know, we don't know that person's name just yet, but just wanted to be more precise in our reporting there. A 20-year-old male from the Butler County, Pennsylvania area, 20 years old only here. And what a stunning development right now. And we don't know their name just yet. We're waiting for law enforcement to divulge that. They want to make it very clear that they know who it is before they tell the wider public who it is. There are some reports out there with a name. We're not going to do that yet. We're going to wait for law enforcement or Fox or the Associated Press. Hal, I want to talk about security posture, though, going into the rally. There was a lot of questions at the briefing about it, about whether or not they had gotten any, tips or suggestions or alerts before the rally. And then in the wake of the shooting, it became an active crime scene. And they had to use, from what we were told and what we heard, bomb technicians to make sure some of these bags that were left in the rally site, now an active crime scene. we're safe and we're benign, so to speak here. Also, Jennifer Griffin reporting this, Hal. Secret Service protection for former President Trump was strengthened recently, normal as RNC convention approached. Suggestion that DHS rejected a request by the Trump team for more protection is not true. Hal, you and I were talking about protection for not only, a former president, obviously you get protection for the rest of your life, but presidential candidates themselves here. The governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, the Democrat, has this here. We're going to put that up here because we're talking about Secret Service protection, Hal, for other presidential candidates here. There we go. Jared Polis. He's the governor of Colorado. He says, I encourage POTUS to immediately provide Secret Service protection for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Of course, we know the last presidential candidate to be assassinated was Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s father, Robert F. Kennedy, June 4th, 1968, the Ambassador Hotel there in California. And so do you think this is going to be standard operating procedure for presidential campaigns to come? Even an independent candidate should get Secret Service protection?
I think you're going to see a broadening of what they do. They have a different, it's not party affiliation that determines Secret Service protection as much as where the candidate is, the viability of the candidate. One of the things they have to do at the beginning of the primary season is a little bit of triage because we've had past elections where things start up and you can have, a dozen
about Donald Trump right now, and what do we know about his plans over the next several days? Of course, we are less than 48 hours away from the Republican National Convention.
I mean, most of what we know, Chris, is what we've heard from him directly. The Trump campaign has put out, and this makes a lot of sense, has put out notice to his staff to not, to not talk to reporters, basically. If they're not authorized to do so. He gave that first-hand account of hearing the bullet whizzing, feeling it pierce through the upper right part of his ear. We've been watching these harrowing images for hours now. Obviously, his political instinct, you mentioned, to pump his fist to make sure he was waving to the crowd before he got into the SUV. Those instincts of a politician very much at odds with the instincts of the people who want to keep him protected. Obviously, the Secret Service trying to physically cover his body when they move him, surrounding him, they have different. Sort of different missions there. The Secret Service has one mission, Trump as the politician having another. As far as what we know about, what his activity is going to be, he's left the hospital in Butler, Pennsylvania. We know that he is going to be at the Republican National Convention this week. That has not changed. Not entirely clear when we'll see him the first time, but he accepts the nomination of the Republican Party on Thursday. And for now, as we are with a lot of the details of the shooting and of the return fire and the killing of the suspect in this attempted assassination, we are going to have to wait a little bit for some more details from the Trump camp.
If you can hold on, we are just getting some new information. We've just learned that police are saying that the bomb squad is at the home of the suspected shooter. Joining us now is Carmen Best, retired Seattle police chief and MSNBC law enforcement analyst. It's good to see you. I should note that at that press conference that we have been referencing, officials were asked,
what the hell the bomb squad doing? That is crib.
About investigating suspicious packages. And I want to tell you what they said at that time. They said, in this case, there was identification of suspicious packages around where the shooter was. And so we deployed, in an abundance of caution, bomb assets to make sure that those were cleared for investigators to move safely in the area. Now they are at the shooter's home. What will be the approach there, and what are your concerns?
Yeah, thank you for having me. They're going to have the same concerns about any type of booby traps or other devices. It's already been reported the suspect intentionally did not provide identification or have identification on him. So now that they have the location, they're going to have those same precautions that they're going to need to take about entering about what other things, any type of devices or anything that might be there, because we simply don't know. We don't know the motive of the suspect at this point either. So all of those things, they can be slow and methodical at this point. I mean, the former president is, as for all intents and purposes, safe at this point. The initial scene is clear, so they can take their time to make sure that they do everything with an abundance of caution.
We are just getting some new information from our Tom Winter. A spokesperson for the FBI's Pittsburgh field office, Carmen, says they are now confirming the name of the shooter, the alleged shooter who attempted to assassinate former President Donald Trump. They identify him as Thomas Matthew Crooks, Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. Our reporting had him at 20 years old. What kinds of investigations are going on in addition to going to his home, which you and I just talked about, to learn more? One thing we don't know is the motive. And also, what will they be looking for at his home?
Yeah, there'll be, this question is for me, and I believe. And
Yes, Carmen.
Okay, yeah. They'll be looking for, Tom has reported a lot of this as well, but they'll be looking for any information that will give them a clue as to what the motive was. They'll secure any cell phones, any computers, any written manifestos, or anything that might be on the premises that might be an indication of why the suspect went to this location and attempted to assassinate former President Trump. So all of that will be of great concern to them. Any information about family members, obviously they're probably already contacting some of them, any other associates, any indications that this is not a lone act, that he may have been coordinating this with other people. They're going to try to ascertain all of that information or anything they can about that while at this suspect's residence.
They are asking anyone with any information, and anyone who may know Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20, of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, to let them know. They're encouraged to submit photos or videos online. They can call 1-800-CALL-FBI. How useful has this been as in this modern day, people not just who know him personally, but may have had online interactions with him, or who may have been at the rally, Carmen?
Yeah, it's going to be a big indicator as to if anyone else was involved, the types of things. Even if it doesn't show that others were involved, it certainly helps in ascertaining what to look for any other type of future event. Obviously, behavioral analysts and others will be looking at any information or anything that they can glean about why a person would do this and how they planned it, and how they even planned the location where they were at, and how they ascertained the weapon, how they got the weapon that he used. And so all of that is going to be very helpful moving forward in this circumstance.
Let me bring back Ryan Riley. They were able to put this ID out fairly quickly at the press conference. They said they wanted to make 100% sure. They talked about potentially running some DNA, but now they have confirmed it. You can say that with certainty, yes?
Yes, that's right. Thomas Matthew Crooks, a 20-year-old from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, has been formally identified by the FBI as the suspected person who attempted an assassination on former President Donald Trump just hours ago. So now the FBI has put that name out there. But I think the big question is how the FBI is going to continue to put out information about this assassination attempt, and how that interaction is going to work between the FBI and the Secret Service, because really this is kind of almost a look at what went wrong with the Secret Service's protection detail here, and the failures that sort of went into this. And I think, you might end up with a situation where an inspector general gets involved in this investigation as well. And obviously Congress is going to be super interested, especially, on House Republicans, and I think Democrats as well, obviously, with the failures that are pretty clear here in terms of that sweeping of that roof, making sure that a roof that was that close to where Donald Trump was speaking and had that elevated position, and was only really a couple.
All right, this is the picture I've been waiting on right here. This is a better version than the one we had earlier. All right, so the gunman was over here. The event was over here. The rally was over here, 184 yards away. That's not very far at all.
And you're trying to tell me no one didn't
This is the
see a
vantage point right here.
20-year-old shoot that gun from right there? You gotta be fucking kidding me.
No, people saw him. People saw him before he actually shot.
Yeah, they saw him. I'm saying, but like the fact that they didn't notice him like before then, that's what I'm basically trying to get at.
Well, some people said they noticed him earlier and they was pointing him out to the police. But the police was running around like, what are you talking about?
Think they were paid off by Biden then?
Well, see, this is what I heard. The governor is a Democrat. The police work for the governor.
Yeah, that's true. State municipal government.
So I don't know. I'm just letting you guys know what I know. So, but they said that they saw him. They pointed him out minutes before he actually made the shot. So people did see his ass when he started crawling. He started moving. So I'll play that video of the guy who actually said he saw him.
But that's the thing too, is because I can't remember, like another channel was talking about it, like another podcast channel. They're like, how the hell in that whole rally are you not going to look at a guy who's on the roof like that, in that position with what he has? And some people are going to say, well, we didn't know if he was going to be there to protect him or to actually, because sometimes they'll have people in certain vantage points when certain shit's happening like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's what I was expecting.
Like
That
a spotter.
I was expecting the Secret Service to, mapped all of that out. At least be on top of the buildings, walking around so they could see shit. But this right here, the way this is set up, this is premeditated. It's all premeditated. And I don't know how he slipped in, came in through the back, crawled up, started crawling. Where did he come up at? How did he get him? What part of the building did he skimmy up? What side? A lot of fucking questions.
Did he get an
Football
email from
fields away,
Hillary?
not even from where he was speaking, did not have coverage at that point, and what went wrong, how they can fix this, and how they can prevent this from happening in the future. But you could end up with situations where you just aren't seeing those sort of rallies, or at least there are different places where there's not a strategic advantage for someone to be that far away, because this was inches away really from a really different outcome here, Chris.
A catastrophic outcome, without a doubt. Ryan, talk a little bit more, and you touched on this, but assuming there is a digital footprint, and it's very, very rare to find someone these days who doesn't have one, the kinds of things they'll be looking for and may be able to find through it?
What's actually kind of remarkable is we've seen this unfortunate circumstance where people will try to do these fakes of suggest that someone else who actually isn't that person is that person, right? So there's all these attempts to try to trick and fool reporters, and that's sort of what we're working through right now. There's been a number of Instagram handles, for example, that were changed to this name because that name had been out there on social media before the FBI formally confirmed it. And so people trying to trick reporters and say, oh, this was this person. There was one image of one prominent individual who's sort of a right-wing extremist that was being floated out there and saying, oh, here's this footage. People would put that image in other people's social media profiles. So it requires a lot of work on the back end on our reporting and making sure we're being thorough about this before we put it out there. And this is something that you have to be really careful about. And unfortunately, in the world we're living in today, there's a lot of people trying to put out bad information. So we really have to make sure this is vetted before we put it out to the public, which is sometimes why we sort of take a pause on this reporting and make sure that we're getting things out there and we're not putting misinformation out there to the general public, Chris.
I also want to bring in NBC's Erin McLaughlin. She is in Bedminster, New Jersey. We don't know the exact whereabouts of former President Trump right now, but the original plan was we thought perhaps he would be heading back to Bedminster, New Jersey, one of the places where he owns homes. But what's the scene as you have seen it tonight around Bedminster?
Well, Anna, what we do know is that around 12:37, about an hour ago, his plane did land in Newark, New Jersey. There was that video showing former President Trump deplaning under his own power, briefly waving, giving no statements. That was tweeted out on X by an aide. And we know here Bedminster is about a half-hour drive away. It is where he has the Trump National Golf Course. Earlier today, hours after the shooting, we saw a substantial security presence around the entrance of that golf course, about 4 police vehicles near the entrance, lights flashing. In the last hour or so, we saw a number of security vehicles, including state security vehicles, exit down that way in the opposite direction of the golf club, followed by a number of private vehicles. So it is possible that he is staying there tonight. Again, we do not know for sure. His aides are being very tight-lipped in terms of his whereabouts. We know that he has been in contact with some of his children, including Donald Trump Jr. Donald Trump Jr. Tweeting tonight that he's doing very well. Anna.
Thank you very much for that. Appreciate that update. Let me go back to you, Ryan Riley, because it occurs to me that this is really the first assassination attempt that we have had in this era of social media, and certainly the level of digital access. Obviously, if you want to go back to President Kennedy, the assassination.
Yeah, with today's internet access, you got kangaroos in Australia watching this shit. They in the bush like, can you believe this shit?
Of Martin Luther King, RFK, the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan. We were in a very different media universe. The things that we have today did not exist then. How much faster
they got spiders watching the World Wide
does
Web.
that make these investigations go? Or as you were talking about before we went to Aaron, because of the fakes that can happen, because of the misinformation, is it always faster?
Well, what the FBI can do in that case is cut through a lot of this, right? Because it's not only just social media, it's your entire digital footprint. So any account that he had on Google, I'm assuming, there's probably somebody writing up an affidavit right now to try to get any information and, look back at his entire history. This is someone who's 20 years old, so he's lived his entire life online. There'll be photos of him from the day he was born until, the day that he died. This is someone who was born in the year 2003, right? So we're not talking about that long of a time here. Everything has been digital his entire life. What I wanted to point out, there's some new reporting actually that Tom Winter, our colleague at NBC, was able to confirm. And take this for what you will, but he is a registered Republican, and we don't know. This is still, we don't know what was inside his mind. We don't know what we don't know yet, but we do know that on paper he was a registered Republican. So this could obviously still be. Obviously, he was trying to shoot and kill Donald Trump. So this is.
How the hell they know he was a Republican?
That's what I'm saying. Unless they went through like a social media or something, or
okay,
something maybe.
They went through his information, and then they said that they found out that he was a certified Republican.
So my thing is, was he a Manchurian candidate? Or MK Ultra?
Yeah. Hey, Winter Soldier, Captain America.
Thought it was feeling you?
Munch.
Is clearly someone who
Project Paperclip
had disdain for Donald Trump. But
Watergate.
there are always these surprising facts that come out in the course of reporting. We don't know whether that was his old political beliefs and whether he's had a sudden shift. I think that's something that we're going to see play out over the coming days and the coming weeks as new reporting comes out, as our colleagues get to speak to a lot of the people who grew up
Operation
with
Valkyrie.
Work is already being done as law enforcement gets to speak with people who he's communicating with as all of these digital records become available. He's likely going to have a long paper trail, but on the other hand, you do have a lot of efforts to try to keep that information private. Encryption is being increased, so sometimes you don't get the full access that you would necessarily think you would to a lot of the raw materials, and that's been a frustration for law enforcement in recent years. So there are ways to communicate with encrypted messages and messages disappearing very quickly, but at least overall, I think this digital footprint will give us a better picture of who this individual was. And as a lot of this reporting plays out over the coming hours and the coming days, finding out more about what was going on with this individual before this incident took place, Chris.
Thank you so much for that, Ryan Riley. Joining me now is senior national politics reporter John Allen. And John, it is now on the East Coast, at least Sunday morning. So it is now the eve of the Republican National Convention. There were hints that the president.
All right, we're going to pause this video right here, and we're going to go to the guy who actually said he saw Trump. Well, he saw the well, this is one eyewitness. I have two, but let me go ahead and play this so we can like get different viewpoints of this.
We were talking to each other during world news as the rally was just getting underway, and you've been getting these horrific stories from witnesses, and you're with another one tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, we're with another group of witnesses that saw what happened. I will tell you, hours ago, this area right here was filled with Trump supporters eager, waiting to go inside of that rally. Right now, tonight, this is an area where Trump supporters are gathering. They're left with shock about what happened. Tell me what you saw inside.
Yeah, I was just about like 30 feet from Trump, and then I saw the people that had been shot, and they were bringing them down in the stands right above me, and I just didn't want to get down. I just kept standing. But I saw, I saw the man that was hit in the head, and there was a lot of blood, and I knew there was no way he was going to survive that. And then there were two of them that they brought down, but
it looks like Undertaker. He was on crack.
Chaotic, but I didn't get down, and so it was very interesting. We were just right there.
What was going through your mind as you saw that person with tons of blood on them?
Yeah, at first I was thinking, I thought different thoughts, like maybe this was the shooter and then he committed suicide, or maybe someone shot him. That's what my first thoughts were. I didn't think about just like someone that was in the stands. Yeah, that's what I thought.
And now knowing that this is someone that was in the stands, how are you processing this?
No, I think we're all in shock. Yeah, we're numb. That this happened.
Can I say, when I heard this going on, I thought it was a firecracker.
They look like brothers.
It's like with Kennedy,
I think
people
they
thought
are.
it was a firecracker.
Brothers
And
of
we
Destruction.
were 20 yards away from Trump.
Undertaker and Kane.
Yeah, they related some kind of way. They
Fucking
look alike.
the Timu version.
And then we were 20 yards away from where I thought it was a firecracker. But then now I'm thinking maybe those were bullets that were going over our head.
Yeah.
And then they were saying, get down, get down, get down. I just wasn't processing. It took me like 2 minutes and I finally hit the deck. But I think it's just like you're in shock. And how did the guy get the gun in there? How did he get the gun?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, because is this your first Trump rally?
No.
No. So I've covered a number of Trump rallies. I've been to almost every single Trump rally this cycle. You've been to a number as well. You're fully aware of the security precautions. Trump supporters, as they're making their way in, they have to go through magnetometers. Your bags are searched. Your pockets are searched as well. And so any area where you're around the former president, there is a sense of safety. Yeah. And so to have this occur, what was going through your mind as you heard gunfire, get down, get down?
I think first I was in shock, but I do think I'm drawn to some of this kind of, I tried out for the Secret Service. I passed everything, but then they said, take your glasses off. That was the end of it. So my whole life would have been changed, but I couldn't see. But I guess I like to be where the action is in some ways. So, but I mean, not this, obviously this is just horrible, just horrifying. But
Trump survived. That's good. It would have been horrible news, at worst news, if he had been killed. So that's good. At least we had that. But yeah, we're all in shock. Yeah, it's really something. I just got done saying every generation.
Hey, you know what? If Trump would have got killed, it would have been a fucking riot in this country. What do y'all think? You think it would have been a riot?
Yeah, there would have for sure been some riots.
I'm pretty sure it'd have been a whole bunch of shit going on if he would have got killed. It'd have been fires and all types of shit, buildings on fire, and I mean everybody. This shit affects the whole world too, man.
Yeah, it influences them for good or for bad. But I think there would have been people that were rioting because of it. Then you would have had like other people trying to celebrate the fact that he'd be dead. You know?
Oh yeah, they'll be
Deleted.
celebrating. They would
You know
definitely
what I'm
be
saying?
celebrating.
I see a whole bunch of rainbow pride type of freaking banners and stuff like that, and
They
all
be
the
happy.
small, bro. And Gavin Newsom, I've been hearing talks that Gavin Newsom might most likely be the guy to take over if if Biden were to win.
The rabbit hole gets deeper, my friends.
And thinks, well, we're past that. We're not going to have any more assassination attempts. And then you have something else. And maybe it's really hard to stop.
I thought it was firecrackers.
Yeah, you thought it was firecrackers. Yeah, I mean, so many people did. Initially, when that first happened, there was a lot of confusion.
Oh,
I was gonna say he came out of nowhere. I was like, they had to pick the guy from Duck Dynasty. They had to. I was like, they have to pick everybody who was on that. What's that one channel called? Soft white underbelly.
He caught me off guard. He caught her off guard too. You see how fast she pulled that mic
He
away.
said, "My mouth feels dry." He said, "My mouth feels dry."
That shit caught me off guard, man. Hold on, let me play it again.
Forgive me, no.
Yeah, you thought it was firecrackers.
I thought it was firecrackers.
Yeah, you thought it was firecrackers.
It was firecrackers.
Yeah,
I thought it was firecrackers.
yeah, you thought it was firecrackers.
I thought it was firecrackers.
Yeah, you thought it was firecrackers. Yeah, I mean, so many people did. Initially, when that first happened, there was a lot of confusion for everyone that was inside of that fairground near. We heard the pop, 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 pop sounds. We heard shouts of gunfire, but we did not know for sure. We were just all told to get down. And then from my understanding, it was also law enforcement that told you all to just stay down, even though the former president was already escorted to make sure that they had the situation under control.
They kept saying, stay down, but then curiosity overcame me. After about 5 minutes, I stood up and there were like 6 or 7 men with AR-15s or whatever, whether they AK-47s or AR-15s, and they were just like hawks. They were looking around, staring at everybody, and their guns ready, and one guy looked kind of nervous. I mean, it was just, I was just kept thinking that we're going to be a part of history here, so. But it's just it's horrible.
I felt bad for that guy that was shot because there was so much blood.
Yeah, that is how he said it. That is how he said it.
I thought, oh, there's no way he survived that.
Firecrackers.
Yeah, what a day.
A hard thing to witness, and I so appreciate you all taking the time to speak with me, and I'm glad that all of you are safe. Please get home safe. Again, with just this sense of disbelief, trying to process, replaying those events over and over in your head. That's what everyone here that was inside of that Trump rally is still having to contend with as they process the moments that happened, those frantic and chaotic.
I thought it was firecrackers.
Yeah, you thought it was firecrackers.
I thought it was firecrackers.
Yeah, you thought it was firecrackers.
Hard to stop.
I thought it was firecrackers.
Yeah, you thought it was firecrackers.
Hard to stop.
I thought it was firecrackers.
Yeah, you thought it was firecrackers. Yeah.
Stop.
I thought it was firecrackers.
Yeah, you thought it was firecrackers.
Stop.
I thought it was firecrackers.
Yeah, you thought it was firecrackers. Yeah, I mean, so many people did. Initially, when that first happened, there was a lot of confusion for everyone that was inside of that fairground near. We heard the pop, 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 pop sounds. We heard shouts of gunfire, but we did not know for sure. We were just all told to get down. And then from my understanding, it was also law enforcement that told you all to just stay down, even though the former president was already escorted to make sure that they had the situation under control.
They kept saying, stay down, but then curiosity overcame me. After about 5 minutes, I stood up and there were like 6 or 7 men with AR-15s or whatever, whether they AK-47s or AR-15s, and they were just like hawks. They were looking around, staring at everybody, and their guns ready, and one guy looked kind of nervous. I mean, it was just, I was just kept thinking that we're going to be a part of history here, so. But it's just it's
I felt
horrible.
bad for that guy that was shot because there was so much blood and things. So he was right above me, so I thought, oh, there's no way he survived that. Yeah, what a day.
A hard thing to witness, and I so appreciate you all taking the time to speak with me, and I'm glad that all of you are safe. Please get home safe. Again, with just this sense of disbelief, trying to process, replaying those events over and over in your head. That's what everyone here that was inside of that Trump rally is still having to contend with as they process the moments that happened, those frantic and chaotic moments of what they witnessed inside WIT.
Yeah, and I can't help but think there's going to be a lot of trauma after this event for all of those witnesses who are there, watched this unfold before their very eyes, and also knowing that, you know, one of their fellow supporters, somebody who was just there, part of the rally, at least one person lost their life today.
So today's the day. I've got my RTA mock system and Coyote appliances.
His ear, there was blood across his ear. He ducked down, the Secret Service piled on top of him. We'll have a look at it in a second, exactly what happened. What we now know is that the shooter was then killed, and an individual, sadly, tragically, a fan there at the watching the Trump supporter, is reported to have been killed, along with the reports that the shooter was killed. So we can't verify that, but those are the current reports. Donald Trump himself went to hospital nearby and has since reported on social media that he is fine. As he was escorted from the stage by the Secret Service, he continually pumped his fist in the air and yelled out defiantly, "Fight, fight." The crowd were shocked and ducked for cover. This is all that's happened. Since then, we've had reports from all around the world, different people obviously offering their sympathy and offering their theories on where to from here. We'll keep you for the rest of the day, but certainly here on Outsiders for the next hour, we'll be talking to more people about exactly what has happened. Let's just have a quick look now at the very moment of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump just over an hour ago.
Look at what happened.
She's still talking.
Can hear this. Let me do this over. Hold on, because I didn't hear her coming in.
You hear the firecrackers?
Yeah. So, hold on. So I didn't hear her coming in. All right, let me know if y'all can hear it.
Visibility. So, I wouldn't bank on that necessarily being the next time we see, but it's certainly a possibility.
Can you hear the audio?
Vice presidential pick.
Yeah, I can hear.
There's a certain time on Monday that he has to do it by. So we're very much in that window. And of course, it's a very weighty decision that he has in front of him. Obviously, the judgment that he makes in that decision is made all the more, if not all the more important, certainly all the more obvious that it is important by the events that transpired today.
Yeah, I should say we did hear fairly quickly after the assassination attempt, and I've been reading from part of the statement where former President Trump describes exactly what happened to him, but he also says, "I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for the rapid response to the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. More importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed and the family of another person that was badly injured." And we mentioned earlier in this hour that a GoFundMe page has been set up to help those families. But we also heard fairly quickly from President Biden, who at the time was spending his weekend in Delaware. Here's part of what President Biden had to say.
Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this.
News posted an interview on X from the rally. The reporter talked to a witness who claims he saw the shooter before he started firing.
We noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, and we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, oh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for 2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
Along the fence line, I'm just meeting him right now. Sir, thank you so much. You're talking to KDKA. Can I have your name and what did you see and hear?
This is Ben Macer. I was at the same point that probably the witness you were talking to earlier. I was up at the fence line, saw the guy move from roof to roof, told an officer that he was on the roof. The officer come looking, I went back to where heard that there was somebody that could see the person. So I went back to where they were standing, saw the person, went back and told the officer again that if he goes back to that particular spot, he can see the person, figuring that he would go in radio. And when I turned around to go back to where I was is when the gunshots started, and then it was just chaos and we all came running away, and that was that.
So let me get this right. So you actually saw the man on top of the roof behind us?
Yes.
And you're saying people reported that to law enforcement, saying there is a man on the roof of the building?
Yes, there were two officers that were actively searching. You could tell they were searching and looking for somebody, and we just tried to help and tell them where the guy was. And they, at some point, somebody obviously found him, or the snipers found him, and that was the end of his decisions.
Did you get a good look at the guy on the roof?
I did not have a good look at him, but I just seen him going from one building to another. There was a little gap in between, and he went. And when I went back to see the people that I heard that could see him, seen a quick look at him there, and then went to the officer to tell the officer, and that was all that I got.
How many gunshots did you hear?
I have no idea. It was, at first I didn't know what I heard, and then once it became clear what I heard, that it was just getting out of there, and I helped a lady that had a 4-year-old kid, helped them get out, and that was it. We were done, and everybody went home. And
You're obviously shaken up right now just talking to me.
a little bit. It's not every day that you're that close to anything like that.
How far do you think that shooter was from the stage of where the former president was speaking?
Probably 200, 250 yards.
Was it parallel to where the president was, where he was?
I could not see the president, so I'm not 100% sure, but it was definitely close to parallel.
What are your questions right now, just in light of this happening?
I don't have questions. I'm just, curious like anybody else, and just seeing what all is still going on. I live close to here, so I'm just taking it all in and seeing what's going on.
Thank you so much for your time.
Wix,
gives you the power.
They saw the shooter from their vantage point after the shots rang out. Fox's Alexis McAdams interviewed one of those witnesses. She also talked to attendees who were near the former president when he was shot.
When this was happening, did you know where these possible shots were coming from?
I mean, I can see the guys literally, the shots that we heard at the time, we thought it was somebody, turned around, we seen smoke literally coming out of the barrel. The guys behind us, at the time we thought they were coming at us, but it happened to be our guys shooting back at him. So everybody was freaking out thinking we were going to get shot by the people right behind us, but they were actually protecting us, shooting the shooter.
And where was the shooter, according to what you're seeing and when you were there?
Here, and our shooter's up to our left, probably, I don't know, 40 feet away or so, up on top of that building or whatever it was.
Yeah.
We were right behind where the chairs were at. And we started hearing, I thought it was firecrackers. And I'm like, who would be shooting off firecrackers in here? Well, then somebody started yelling, hit the ground, hit the ground. And when I looked over, then I saw the smoke from the gunfire. So then everybody hit the ground and he kept standing. I was like, you got to get down, boy. You got to get down. They're going to shoot you.
Get down. So we got down and we huddled and we just started praying. The lady in front of me that laid on top of me, she was crying. I said, it's going to be okay, honey. We just prayed. We prayed. And then after a little while, we could see Trump get up and he gave like, I'm okay. I'm okay. And so then we got up. Like, as a true leader, he was like leading us.
You could hear him yell to the Secret Service members saying, let me get my shoes. I mean, he wanted to walk away.
There he is leading us like it's okay. You know what I mean? I mean, it gives you goosebumps.
So that sharpshooter went across. Trump turned his head. His ear must have been nipped, and it killed somebody in the stands over to the left.
Could you see anyone injured besides the blood on the former president?
All I saw was the gentleman from Beaver County who spoke earlier in the day. He was running for the State House Representative, Elmore. I know his name. He had a white shirt on, and I saw him come from that left stands where the people were mostly shot. I think there were several. They said 3 medevacs left here. Blood was down the right side of his. He wasn't shot, but you could see that he was next to somebody who must have been bleeding profusely, because he either helped them and rubbed against them or tried to get them help or something. It was covered. So I knew that he was near somebody. That was my first indication that somebody was actually shot when I saw his blood on his shirt.
Aaron, when did you realize that, hey, this might not be fireworks, this might be something else?
When they got Trump down on the ground. And then we were just so concerned that he wasn't hit because we couldn't. It happened so fast. It's really hard to process it. I guess if you have it on your camera to see the exact minute, you can tell. But when he got up, he did not look bad at all. He didn't. He looked very strong. So then I saw that little bit when I saw that blood. I thought, he must have just hurt himself, hopefully. But it does appear that he was probably nicked by that bullet. That Aaron turned his head just in the nick of time, but just.
And Aaron, you were so near to all of this yourself. You were right there. How did you personally feel about your own safety? Were you scared? What was that experience?
I was totally not scared for my own. None of us in that front row went down to the ground. Not a one. We wanted to only help the president. That's all we wanted to do. Either we could protect him, we could stand around him. I didn't see one person in the row hit the ground. Not one. I was shocking. No one was concerned about us. We were only concerned about him.
Now, you're somewhere safe. You're out of there as you're starting to process this. I know we'll all be processing this over the coming days and weeks. How are you feeling now in this moment?
Well, what I've heard coming out here is now they feel that there was 2 shooters on both sides. So they got the one on the tower on this side, but the one on the right side, they never got. So that's why they wanted us to leave immediately, because they thought there's still a shooter out there somewhere. So there could be in these woods around Butler.
Aaron, I've covered many Trump rallies. I don't know how many you've been to.
My 6th. This is yours. I was here. I was the 4th car in the parking lot this morning at 20 to 7. So I've worked all day.
You've been here all day.
I knew you were NBC.
We're here. Look, the atmosphere coming into a Trump rally, the supporters, very jovial, very celebratory. Typically, people are selling merchandise, food. What were you coming in with today, and what are you leaving with tonight?
Well, I was here 4 years ago when he was in Butler. It was like 58,000 people. I tell people it was the most magical night of my life. When he came on that helicopter and circled 2 times, he had 4 rallies that night. It was just an unbelievable night. And I was anticipating to be another unbelievable night, but not this way. And it's just very sad. I mean, all these people that came to see him and to have him hurt, I can't even describe it, you know. I just feel sad. I feel sad for our country. I feel sad for everybody, you know. I mean, you don't like the guy, don't vote for him. Don't kill him. We love the guy. We're going to vote for him. You know, I mean, what is up with his violence? I mean, it's just terrible. I mean, I just wish that people that, I mean, I'm glad that guy's no longer with us anymore in that tower. And I hope they get the other one too. And I hope they don't nick him. I hope.
All right, y'all hear that? She hoped they get the other one. So there's another shooter out there. And that's what people been saying. They've been saying it's the two shooters because they said it was a 22 and then it was a 223. That's two different type of bullets. And those bullets came from different directions because the bullets that shot him came parallel from the building. All right. The bullets that supposedly had killed the guy up in the corner, that came from a different direction because two people up there actually got hit. One got hit in the head. One got hit up under the arm. But this is the story they're telling us. So if that is true, then those projectiles came from different directions. So now she mentions two shooters, and this is like the third or fourth person that actually said this.
They get him. He's down.
Aaron, thank you so much. I'm so glad. No, I'm so glad you're safe. I know it's
100 yards back in the standing room area. Where I could see, I could see Trump speaking. And as he probably maybe 10 minutes into it or so, I'm not sure. Just heard.
What's up, Jenny? How you doing?
A couple of shots come from the left side. It would have been from Trump's sort of right side. And then it sounded like Secret Service or somebody started returning fire because it was like automatic, boom, 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 going. And then everybody hit the ground. By the time I got up, they were already rushing him out. And after the first or second shot, it seemed like it came across maybe the whole seating area and hit one of the John Deere or maybe a hydraulic line because all this hydraulic or something started shooting out of a line. So it just made the situation more confusing. Didn't know what the hell was happening.
What do you think about all this?
It's crazy. I mean, this is a rally. It's just, I guess it's reflective of our society that's become the last bunch of years. It's just ridiculous.
What do you think about how Secret Service handled everything?
I think they handled everything. They seem to be right on it. The question, obviously, that people look at is how did it happen in the first place? How did he get a gun in here? Whatever. But as far as the reaction, seemed top notch.
What do you think about someone actually taking a shot at the president? President, elect or not elect? A guy running for president.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. It's when was the last time we saw something like this? Back in the '60s with Bobby and JFK and Martin Luther King. It's nuts. It's crazy. And Reagan too. Yeah. But I don't know. People feel that bolden or brazen or I don't know. It's nuts.
Where are you from?
Originally New York City and now Newcastle.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
We'll just recap. So just over an hour and a half ago, there was an assassination attempt on former president and presidential candidate Donald Trump at a Donald Trump rally in Pennsylvania. It was Saturday afternoon, American time. It appears that a bullet skimmed Donald Trump, hit him just behind the ear or grazed his ear. There was blood across his ear. He ducked down. The Secret Service piled on top of him. We'll have a look at it in a second, exactly what happened. What we now know is that the shooter was then killed and an individual, sadly, tragically, a fan there at the watching the Trump supporter is reported to have.
All we know was shots were fired, and then I jumped over the barrier and put my hand on the guy's head that was excusing me.
Who was it? Do you know?
It's a stranger.
This is not Trump, though. This is another person.
Yeah. So Trump's not here.
And it was, you said he got hit on his head.
Yeah.
Were you in the vicinity where Trump was?
I was on the side. I was with a special guest.
Are you okay?
I'm Rico Elmore, but I just military reactions.
Yeah.
We have an interview
that News Nation got with another witness named Easton Smith, who also identified a curious person, a suspicious person. I want you to hear the interview, and then we'll put into the context of what we already know.
Probably a minute or two before the shooting, saw a guy, gray shirt, climbing up the metal roof on the building right beside us, and didn't know what he was doing, trying to alert cops and police that there was a guy crawling on the roof. And then we saw a rifle sling over his shoulder, and yeah, after that, a couple shots fired off.
This is now the second eyewitness that I have reported on with a very consistent story. The man whose body is on video being shown on top of a metal roofed building that was adjacent, catty corner to where Trump was on the stage, which would have positioned him with a shot at the right side of the former president's head, which is where he was struck, multiple shots fired. And gray is consistent with what seems to be the color of the camo that we see on the man who was positioned in the red square at the top of your screen. Authorities are also reporting that they recovered on that man an Armalite AR-style semi-automatic rifle, an AR-15. This was really not the best weapon for an assassin to want to use with this kind of shot, but that's what was used here.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget.
Where were you and what happened?
I was about 5 feet away from him. Like, I was within, like, sight distance. Like, I was so close. And all of a sudden, I just hear these 4 shots. And everybody's screaming, drop. And you can see the blood, like, splatter on his face. And the Secret Service just barricades him. And, you know, it was just, like, so scary.
So you were behind Trump?
No, I was on Trump's left side. Well, I think when the shots are fired that he was facing towards us, because when they took him out, he was that way, but he was like directly in front of us. Like the podium was here, and when he got shot, he was here, like on the left side. So we like watched him go down and hit the ground, and everybody was screaming like, get down, get down. And then the next thing you know, the like Secret Service is barricading him, and he's throwing his fists up in the air. But it was so scary because we were like 5 feet away from the guy.
You think he was hit?
I do. The blood was all over his face. I think he had to have been hit.
What do you think about this craziness?
It's just honestly so scary. Like, you see all these things about shootings and you never think it's going to be you until it is. And I was just on the ground and I was thinking, like, you don't know, like, what their target is, like, if it's just Trump supporters or if it's, like, Trump. So I was just so scared. I was laying on the ground. I was like, am I going to be next?
When he was leaving, pumped his fist, what'd you think?
Oh, I thought he was the guy. You know, after that, it's just the man.
What was going through your mind?
When I was just laying on the ground and just like praying it wasn't going to be me, and I called my dad, and my dad thought I was messing with him because he heard people in the back screaming Donald Trump, because when he put his fist up in the air, I guess people started screaming, and he thought I was messing with him. And I was like, no, like I was upset, I was crying, and I was being so serious with him. I was like, Dad, like there's a shooting, like we're all on the ground, and it was just so scary.
What do you think? Why would someone do this?
I mean, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, he obviously does have a lot of haters and a lot of people that would want to see him gone. But I'm just confused on how the security let that slide, you know, like whether it was off property or on property. It's just, you know, so crazy to me.
Well, in one way you just witnessed political and U.S. history.
Yeah.
Few assassinations and attempts.
Yeah, that's what me and my mom were talking about. We thought it was the first one since what, JFK? Like the first attempt? Reagan. Reagan. Yeah. Yeah, it's just so crazy.
What do you think about why would someone do this?
I don't know. I honestly don't have an answer for why somebody would do this. I guess just trying to take him out. You know, Biden's on the other hand. Got to get him out of there somehow.
What do you think about, you know, someone even just trying this, just the craziness of it all? I mean,
yeah, I honestly just think like our society has gone so downhill, and with like all the shootings and like just everything that's been happening recently, it's just such a mess. And it's just like this stuff didn't happen before, and now that it's happening now, it's just so scary. It makes you not even want to like go to stuff like this, you know.
You were having a good time?
This is the first time I've ever been to a Trump rally, and you know, it's my first time, probably going to be my last now, It's just so scary. And you hear about this stuff, and like I said, you just, you know what I mean? You brush it off until it's you. It's such a scary thing.
You had a duck.
I did. Yeah, they screamed. They said, "Everybody get down." And the people around me dropped. There was two rows in front of me, and they were reserved. So we were the closest we could be. We woke up at 4:30 in the morning and drove the 2 hours here. We got here. We waited in line for 4 hours. So we were very close. And, you know, the guys from Secret Service, they were just screaming. They were just like, it was loud. Like, everybody get down. And I heard 4 shots, and there was like a pause and one other shot. And people started lifting their heads, and they started screaming, and they said, get back down, get back down. But I do think they got the guy whenever the second shot came out. It's very scary. Yeah.
Video of what?
See him, but we could hear him. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea, you know. But we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, you know, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle.
A rifle.
We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? You know, like they didn't know what was going on. You know, we're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. You know, he's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service.
We were telling the police. We were pointing at him for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? I mean, this is not a big place.
Did you see, I mean, obviously everyone, when the shooting started, everyone was very panicked. Did you see what happened to him at all?
Oh, yeah, they blew his head off.
Okay, sorry.
Secret Service blew his head off.
Okay, we just be careful because we don't quite know who's watching, but you're pretty sure they shot the guy?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yep.
You saw that happen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And did you see them go up to him afterwards, or?
They crawled up on the roof. They had their guns pointed at him, make sure he was dead. He was dead, and that was it. It was over.
It appears that Donald Trump has been hit in the right ear after this attempted assassination at his rally in Pennsylvania today. The law enforcement officials have said that the former president was quickly pulled away by the Secret Service agents, and his campaign team now say that he's doing fine. The attack by a shooter who law enforcement officials say was neutralized by the Secret Service was the first attempt to assassinate a president or presidential candidate since Ronald Reagan was shot in 1981. It comes during a turbulent period in American political history, just 4 months from the presidential elections and days before Trump is to be officially named the Republican nominee at his party's convention. 2 officials have said that the shooter was not an attendee at the rally and was killed by U.S. Secret Service agents. Eyewitnesses are said to have seen a man climbing on a roof for several minutes before the shooting began. The official said the shooter was engaged by members of the U.S. Secret Service counter-assault team and killed. The heavily armed tactical team travels everywhere with former presidents and current presidents and major party nominees, and is meant to confront any active threats while other agents focus on safeguarding and evacuating the person at the center of the protection. Butler County District Attorney Richard Goldlinger said in a phone interview that the suspected gunman was dead and at least 1 rally attendee was killed. Trump was at the time showing off a chart of border crossing numbers during his last rally before the RNC on Monday when the shots began. It took 2 minutes from the moment of the first shot for Trump to be placed in a waiting SUV. In the video pictures that we've seen, the Secret Service rush on top of Donald Trump to try and protect him. He looks quite bewildered. His hair is tousled, his shirt is open, and you can see blood around his right ear. He then, as he's being removed from the podium, appears to mouth the words "fight," and fist pumps the air several times. As the first pop rang out, Trump said "oh" and grabbed his ear as two more pops could be heard, and he crouched down. We then hear more shots, and someone can be heard from the crowd near the microphone at the lectern say, "Get down, get down, get down," as agents tackled the former president, piling on top of him to shield him with their bodies, as is their training protocol, as other agents took up positions on stage to search for the threat. Many screams were heard in the crowd of several thousand people. A woman is heard screaming louder than the rest. Afterward, voices were heard saying, "Shoot us down," several times before someone said, "Are we good to move?" and "Are we clear?" And then someone ordered, "Let's move." Trump could be heard on the video saying at least twice, "Let me get my shoes, let me get my shoes," with another voice saying, "I've got you, sir." Trump got to his feet moments later and could be seen reaching with his right hand towards his face. There appeared to be blood on his face. He then pumped his fist in the air and mouthed the word "fight" twice to his crowd of supporters, prompting loud cheers and chants of "USA, USA, USA." The crowd cheered as he got back up and pumped his fist. The motorcade left the venue moments later. Video showed Trump turning back to the crowd and raising a fist before he is put into a vehicle. And the police began vacating the fairground shortly after Trump left the stage in what local officials described now as a crime scene. The latest that we have is that the President Joe Biden has made a statement. He's called for the widespread condemnation of political violence following the shooting. He said the bottom line is the Trump rally is a rally that he should have been able to conduct peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. Everybody must condemn it, Joe Biden said. Asked if he believed Trump was the victim of an assassination attempt, Biden said, "I don't know enough. I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts right now." And Biden said he was hoping to speak with Donald Trump after the death, not just of the shooter, but after the death of somebody in that rally crowd. He said, "I've tried to get a hold of Donald. He's with his doctors. Apparently, he's been doing well. I plan on talking to him shortly. I hope when I get back to the telephone," Biden said. It's being reported that the Biden campaign is now pausing all outbound communications and working to pull down television ads as quickly as possible out of respect for, I guess, the deceased person in the crowd and for this situation, which is not something that anybody would wish upon anybody, no matter what political side of the spectrum you are on. There is absolutely no call or reason for political violence. And whilst we condemn the policies
of mine, he was sitting actually behind Donald Trump in the bleachers today when this all unfolded. I'm going to let him share exactly what he saw. It was a very harrowing moment that he was there for. Can you please tell us what happened, Joseph?
Yeah, it was the Trump. I was attending the rally. It seemed initially like firecrackers went off. It was very confusing initially because I knew it was gunfire, but I couldn't quite tell where it was coming from. It sounded like it was coming from behind the bleachers. And the man in the bleachers, kind of to the right of me in the bleachers, took a gunshot wound to the head. Was killed. And another woman, I don't know exactly where she was in the bleachers. I think
And y'all hear that? He said, sound like the gunshots was coming from behind the bleachers. Okay. So we have a gunman on the building shooting at Trump. At least that's what they tell us. Now he's telling us he's up in the corner, right-hand corner behind Trump, all the way up in the corner. He said he heard shots coming from behind the bleachers. The guy next to him gets shot in the head. See, I'm thinking there's multiple shooters. There may even been 3 shooters. I have no idea, but I don't know. It had to be more than one shooter.
I don't know exactly where she was on the bleachers. I think she was either behind me or to the right. Was killed, and another woman. I don't know exactly where she was on fire, but I couldn't quite tell where it was coming from. It sounded like it was coming from behind the bleachers, and the man in the bleachers, kind of to the right of me in the bleachers, took a gunshot wound to the head. Was killed, and another woman. I don't know exactly where she was on the bleachers. I think she was either behind me or to the right of me. She got around she got hit in the forearm and hand. It looked like, but if she was wounded, she wasn't killed.
Can I ask you how you're feeling? Obviously, you just witnessed something terrible happen. A lot of chaos was in the room. How exactly are you feeling right now, Joseph?
It's something you don't expect. It's a bolt out of the blue, so it's very shocking. It's just, I think a lot of people in the crowd just thought it was fireworks going off. I knew immediately it was gunshots. I knew they were close. And then when I saw someone get hit and go down, that's when I knew it was probably serious.
Ever been stranded because your car?
That's when he knew it was probably serious. Somebody gets shot, get the head blown off. I mean, get a bullet stuck in their brain, and then he thought it was probably serious.
Suddenly died. It's a nightmare. You need your.
It was a lot of confusion. It's just massive confusion, throughout the event. I saw Donald Trump get hit. It looked like he was either, I was running my camera at the time, but it looked like he was just turning his head to the side. It looked like he got grazed in the right ear with a bullet. I kind of saw that go on, and then I looked down, I saw that the man, died in the bleachers. It was just complete pandemonium. Like there was a bit of a delay, like there was a lot of confusion, but immediately, it seemed like more gunfire erupted. I couldn't figure out where that was coming from. And then, there was a state policeman there. I believe a SWAT team, showed up relatively quickly. They jumped the side. There was a fence, was next to the bleachers. They jumped the bleachers and started clearing the bleachers. And then I helped carry the body of the man down out of the bleachers, and they took him to a tent behind the bleachers. We put a towel over his head, but he's deceased.
You were telling me before when we were chatting briefly that you never had a chance to make it to a Trump rally, that this was your first time. Would you feel safe coming back to another Trump rally?
Yeah, it's a very random event that happens. I feel safe generally where I go in the country. I think the problem is we have everyone seems very angry, and it makes you kind of, I'll go to a Trump rally again, but I'll think twice. You definitely want to have your head on the swivel. It just seems like there's a lot of angry people out there, and I'm not shocked that this happened. I'm shocked that I was sitting there and it happened next to me. Obviously, you never anticipate that to happen, but it's just horrible. We shouldn't be at a level of political discourse in this country where this is going on. It feels like it's 1960 again. It's horrible.
Can you describe for me, Joseph, what happened after you saw the shots? And I was there as well. Secret Service was screaming for everyone to get down. They quickly tried to clear the area. I'm just curious what that process was like for you in the aftermath.
Very confusing. Like I said, I think everyone who was in the bleachers knew. It was initially confusing when the gunshots erupted. I think the crowd thought it was fireworks. I think someone thought they were playing a joke. And, the people who were close to the people that got injured and killed, you obviously knew it wasn't a joke. And it seemed like there was a push-pull in the crowd. And that is, one half of the crowd on the far end of the rally thought it was some type of weird joke. The other half of the crowd knew it wasn't, was trying to push or impress upon the rest of the crowd that this is serious. And I think everyone got the idea very quickly that it was a dangerous situation. And then everyone just started hitting the deck. And, kudos to the Secret Service. Again, when you're in these situations, a second feels like it's an hour, but it seemed like authorities were there very quickly. It just seemed to me, like I said, I was sitting there, it seemed like the rounds came from behind, and they got this, they hit the gentleman in the head. He got a gunshot wound to the head, and the other lady was injured. And then I saw President Trump, get hit, and it looked like it was right ear. But it seemed initially everyone was in, like half the crowd was in shock, and the other half thought it was some type of weird joke. And it took a bit for everyone to get a good understanding of what was going on. So.
You mentioned that you had spoken with the person who ended up falling, I believe you said, or he's with his whole family?
No, his family watched it happen. So they were in the bleachers when he got hit and he went down. I think they were trying to figure out what was going on. They were screaming for help. The body was, they put a towel over the man's head. The body was removed from the bleachers. Then the police came back, right after and tried to move the family, but they were all in shock. They weren't processing what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
The man was definitely, he was dead the minute he was hit. I mean, it was something that reminded me of the Zapruder film from Kennedy. I mean, it was his head snapped and that was it. And I caught it out of the corner of my eye and then there was just pandemonium. And again, it's Pennsylvania. You're out in rural Pennsylvania. You don't really anticipate this is going to happen, but it happened.
You mentioned, and I'm sorry, I know this is very emotional for you as well. You mentioned that, this was your first Trump rally. How are you feeling about the election now? What are you hoping to see moving forward? We've already seen a lot of statements of support from across the aisle come in for the former president. I can tell you too from our sources that they say that Donald Trump is okay, that he is at a local facility being treated. But I would love just your view on, I know you came here today to support the man that, the former president. I'm curious how you think about this now. I know it's a hard question given the chaos that we're currently in and the adrenaline that we're both feeling right now. But if you can share any of that insight.
It solidifies my support. I understand, people believe that Trump's, they know he's bombastic. They don't really like him. He's a very polarizing figure. He has an abrasive personality, but I truly believe he has the best interests of the country at heart. And, you make a point, the man's a billionaire. Mm-hmm. He could be sitting like you said, he was sitting at the rally joking about it. He's like, I could be sitting in the Mediterranean on a yacht enjoying my life, but I'm not. I'm trying to help run the country. It puts in perspective, there's a real cost for that. I mean, there's some people that really want him dead. And to me, this is just ridiculous. So we have a lot of political violence in this country. It comes from it's not so much from the right, it comes from everywhere. And it just needs to stop. JFK, at RFK, you've had Martin Luther King. Now you're going to, attempt the life of Reagan. And now you have an attempted, assassination of Trump. It's just ridiculous. And it just, I don't think it's a gun problem. I don't think it's a violence problem. I think there's a lot of angry people that just have too much interest in politics, and it's a zero-sum game to them. Politics shouldn't be a zero-sum game where someone wins everything and someone loses everything. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a result of that. People came today, were very happy. They were here to support Trump, but you can when you talk to people in the crowd, there's a tenseness. They don't want to talk to family members about politics because it just gets too angry. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what to tell you, but this needs to stop.
Thank you so much, Joseph.
Wix gives you the power of AI to build the website you need with full business functionality.
Their vehicle over for us so that we could speak with them. This is Stacy and Vanessa. And as you said, Lester, the former president now posted on Truth Social describing how he was shot in his ear, grazed by a bullet in his right ear. Well, Vanessa was right there. You both were.
All right, Jenny, I'm gonna check it. What's up, Crafty Cat? How you doing today? Or tonight?
Right in front of the former president when this happened. Can you describe what you witnessed?
Yes, we were 6 rows back, straight in front of him at his podium. We could see him really good. He was talking about his chart, and he moved his head to the right to explain where they're at in the chart. And then as he moved his head to look at the chart up on the screen, that's when he got grazed in the ear. If he had not moved his head at that nick of time, it could have been a lot worse.
So he moved his head just in the right moment to get an ear graze instead of something.
Yes.
And Lester, let me just explain to you briefly, because we were on the press risers as the former president was starting his speech at the rally. He was only a few minutes in. What Vanessa is referring to when she's talking about those charts, he was talking about immigration and immigration under the Biden administration. He had screens on the left and the right of him, behind him, and he was pointing to one of those screens where he had a chart that was detailing immigration rates, and he turned to point to that chart, and that is when his ear was grazed, and you've seen this on the video. But to Vanessa's point, if he hadn't made that turn to show that chart, things could have been a lot different. Vanessa, where you were when you first heard those shots ring out, what went through your mind and what happened with you and the people around you?
At first, I didn't know if they were firecrackers. There were 6 pops. It just went pop, 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 pop. And then as I was staring straight ahead, I looked across and I didn't see anything. So I looked back at President Trump, and that's when he went down. And then
what ran through your mind?
That, you know, we are all in a situation that we could be very hurt. And they're telling us to all get down, stay down. And then a lot of things went through my mind. Where's my husband? What about the 3 people that we met today beside us? Who else could be injured? You know, why did this happen at President Trump's rally? I mean, a lot of things went through my head. Are we going to be out of here safe? You know,
what are you? I mean, you are safe, thank goodness, and I'm so glad you are. And I'm so sorry that we're meeting under these circumstances. As you sit here in your car now, trying to process all of this, what are you feeling now?
I just want to go home. I just want to go home. I'm glad that President Trump is okay. I worry about the children that were at the rally and how traumatized they are after witnessing all this. Little girl that was a couple rows ahead of us, oh, she was petrified. And what's going through her mind? Is she going to be okay, or is she going to have, you know, nightmares? Or, you know, I worry about children. I worry about the people that lost their loved ones today. And I most certainly worry about my President Trump.
Vanessa,
we're okay.
I'm so glad you're okay. Vanessa, Stacey, thank you so much. And please, you deserve to go home. You deserve to get some rest now. And I hope you drive safe. And thank you so much. They've been here since 7 o'clock in the morning, a long day, and certainly not the day that you were expecting. So thank you so much. And Lester, the sun is now setting here in Butler County as the tragedy of the day is.
Outside that Trump rally, she was there when the shots rang out. Dasha, earlier we saw people, you were talking to people who were leaving the.
Now, this guy looks like a fucking black Joe Biden. Same fucking face, all wrinkled up and creepy ass shit.
Rally site. Were any of them detained, not obviously for suspects, but detained for questioning as witnesses of what they saw?
Yeah, Lester, one of the gentlemen that we spoke with who was right next to the man who was shot and killed. He was just next to him, a couple of yards away at the rally. He actually said he helped to carry his body out of the venue. He's an OBGYN from Pennsylvania. His name is Joseph. We spoke with him earlier as we've been in this parking lot. Here you see now night has fallen in Butler County. This parking lot that was just recently filled with thousands and thousands of cars, people who came here for a political rally, never thinking that something like this would happen here in Butler County, a small rural area that's typically pretty quiet. Now this lot is empty, and we did have a conversation with that man, Joseph, who says he has been waiting to speak with Secret Service. We're going to follow up with him to see how that conversation went, but he said he had been planning on having that conversation. I want you to take a listen to some of this interview and some of what he heard. That is where I ran into a man named Joseph, and I want to introduce him to you now. And as we just learned, Joseph, you weren't listening to the program here, but Lester Holt, NBC News, just reporting that one of the attendees has deceased, has died from injuries as a result of the shooting. Joseph, you told me off camera that you may have witnessed this, and I'm so sorry to be talking to you in this tragic moment, but can you describe what it is that you saw?
I was attending the rally. I was in the set of bleachers, the very far left of the podium where President Trump was speaking. I was there with friends. I heard several gunshots. The man beside me suffered a gunshot wound to the head, was instantly killed, fell to the bottom of the bleachers. Another woman looked like she got hit in the forearm or hand. And then at that point in time, it was rather chaotic at that point because half the people were looking because they thought it was fireworks. I knew it was gunshots right away.
Place. Let me bring in on the telephone Melody and Brent Hook. They were at this evening's rally and witnessed the shootings. Melanie or Brent, can you tell us what you saw and heard?
Yeah, we were sitting there and all of a sudden we just heard, of course, what sounded like gunshots, and just total chaos then happened. I kind of looked to my right and I saw the individual who got shot in the bleachers. I saw his hat come off. And then we just started grabbing everybody around us and just got down in the bleachers and just kind of hovered over everybody, trying to protect everybody around us. And it was right beside us.
Yeah, there was as we see in the video, there was a lot going on. The tactical teams were moving, the team moving around the former president. At that point, did you know what to do? How to protect yourself?
Well, yes and no. We just, everything's happening so quick and you're not sure how many shooters there are or where they're at or anything. So you just kind of just like I said earlier, I've just used my mother's instinct and just grabbed the little girl behind me and just put her down in the bleachers and covered over top of her. And the rest of our family kind of gathered all around everybody else. And yeah, you don't ever plan for anything like that. So you just kind of have to just go with what you feel at the moment, I guess. I don't know. It was definitely terrifying.
So you were in the bleachers, really behind where the former president was?
We were off to his, if he was facing forward, we were off to the right. We were in the same set of bleachers where the guy was shot at.
Oh my goodness.
We were just a few feet from him.
Is this somebody you had met or encountered?
I think we had talked to him in line coming in, but we didn't know who he was personally, no.
We know this is, we don't have to get deep into it. We know this is a tough campaign right now. But did you ever imagine you would face this sort of thing at a rally?
Absolutely not. No, we are 100% Trump supporters. This was our first rally we ever attended. We were not in the least bit worried about anything like that. So we just pray that he's okay. And we pray for the families who, suffered everything. We're just not, my husband especially, he can kind of say his little point, but we're just don't know how this happened. There were so much presence there, police presence and snipers, and I don't know how that guy possibly was able to do this.
Yeah, your husband, Brent.
Yeah. Yes, he's here.
Yeah, Brent, you did go through magnetometers, the metal detectors and all that. So did you feel safe going into this arena?
Oh, yeah. I felt safe going into it. They do go through it and they double and triple check people, from what I saw. But like I heard earlier, that it was outside the perimeters or something like that, I guess, where this guy was at. And somebody told me 140 some yards or something like that. I think it was a lot more than that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking a good
so
200 to 300.
You're familiar, you had seen the building that the shooting may have taken place?
Yeah, the sniper, I seen both sets of snipers up on the two buildings right behind where Trump would have been. And I watched them guys look over at that building quite a bit. They looked over there with the binoculars quite a bit, and I didn't know what was going on. And that's exactly where the shots come from, was there at that building.
Well, look, I'm glad you folks are well. I'm sorry you had to see what you saw, but thank you for sharing your story and your account with us tonight. Appreciate it.
So my name is Kevin Rojek. That's Rojek. I'm the special agent in charge of the FBI Pittsburgh field office. The first thing I want to say is that the FBI stands with the people of Butler County in Western Pennsylvania, and our hearts go out to the victims of this heinous act which occurred today. This is our community, and I wanted to let the public know that the FBI has deployed a number of our resources, including investigative agents, our evidence response team, bomb technicians, and we have additional resources coming from other field offices, as well as from FBI headquarters, including our evidence response from Quantico, Virginia. We have intelligence analysts as well, working from our field office in Pittsburgh, working feverishly to attempt to identify the individual who did this and any motives behind why this was done. Right now, we need the public's help. Anyone who was on scene, who saw anything, who identified any information, please report that to the FBI using either the phone number 1-800-CALL-FBI or online at fbi.gov/Butler. This evening we had what we're calling an assassination attempt against our former president, Donald Trump. It's still an active crime scene. As I mentioned, we have a number of agents on scene. We also are working closely with other federal agencies, our state partners, and our local police partners as well. Again, at this time, we are not prepared to identify who the shooter is. We are close to that identification, and as soon as we are.
Hey, you can see him right here on the building now. We already know who he is. I believe they said his name and said he was 20 years old. But you can see him laying up here on the building right here. So he must have came in from this direction over here in between the building, crawled up here, and this is where people say they saw him in between the two buildings, coming up, crawling up the building. And then when he flipped his rifle over, so I guess he was aiming in this direction.
We're 100% confident in who that individual is. We will share it with the press. With that being said, also, we do not currently have an identified motive, although our investigators are working tirelessly to attempt to identify what that motive was. At this time, I'm going to turn over the podium to Colonel Chris Paris from the Pennsylvania State Police.
Thank you very much. My name is Colonel Chris Paris, P-A-R-I-S, Commissioner of Pennsylvania State Police. I would just like to say that the state police have been in regular contact with the governor's office, and the full support and assets of the entire agency are behind the FBI and our other federal and municipal partners to assist with this investigation. The thoughts and prayers of the Pennsylvania State Police are likewise with the victims of this terrible act. We are prepared to support this investigation in any way, shape, or form, and we stand ready to participate in a full, fair, and competent and thorough investigation. To give you an operational rundown, Deputy Commissioner of Operations, Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens, is behind me, and he will discuss the operational portion that's being conducted by the Pennsylvania State Police. Lieutenant Colonel Bivens.
Good evening. So let me describe for you a little bit about the scene that we have over there. As you know, there was a grandstand, a very large area, a lot of people there when this all unfolded. The former president had come out and begun to speak shortly after 6 o'clock this evening. And within about 10 to 15 minutes, a number of sounds were heard, and it became apparent that shots were being fired in that direction. It was a chaotic scene. Law enforcement, I believe, acted heroically, quickly identifying and neutralizing the threat, as well as responding to assist the various victims. PSP had a significant presence on the scene along with all of our federal partners at the time of the shooting. We have since enhanced that presence significantly, bringing in resources from all over the Commonwealth to ensure that we have a speedy, thorough investigation. We are working very closely with the FBI as we work through this. As you can imagine, because of the variety of crimes that have been committed, some are under federal jurisdiction, some are under state jurisdiction. And so, we're working through all of that, not an issue at all. We work seamlessly, but the FBI has maintained the lead on the attempted assassination. PSP will take the lead on the homicide and the shootings of the other individuals in the grandstand area. And so there are a lot of witnesses to be interviewed, a lot of things to be processed. There were some complicators that hopefully the next time we speak, we can describe for you, but some complicators that slowed down some of the processing and the positive identification of the shooter. But know that at this time, we have no reason to believe that there is any other existing threat out there. We're doing everything we can to make sure that this is thoroughly investigated, and that if there is any information developed that anyone else was involved, that between PSP and the FBI, that will very quickly be followed up on. So I think at this time, we would open it up to questions from all of you.
Was this a lone wolf attack?
Again, I think it's too early to say that. We have one shooter tentatively identified, but we're not stopping there. We're following up on a lot of information. It will be some time until we can conclusively say or answer that question, I think.
I up there. You saw the snipers up there, as the crowd kind of mulling in and looked at that viewpoint to check everyone out. How long has that guy been out there?
Again, that'll all be part of the investigation, but that will all be part of the investigation. But I can tell you that preliminarily, it appears everything unfolded very quickly. So, again, we'll have more information on that, but it's just too early to start definitively saying this happened at this exact time.
Security perimeter, right? That building was outside of the
That's correct.
How far outside of it?
We'll have that information for you. It was some distance outside of the
Colonel, can you comment on reports that there were people who saw someone on the roof and tried to alert authorities?
We're following up on those. I will tell you that I am aware of those, and I am aware that law enforcement had responded to a number of reports of suspicious activity. The specific response to this will be all part of the after action, but yes, law enforcement was responding to check on several suspicious occurrences.
I've got to share this. Are you paying around $140 or more per month for car insurance? Let me show you how you could drop your rate down to just $45 per
are what they appear to be. If that is a shooter deceased on top of that building 150 meters away from the rally venue, if that is the shooter who discharged the bullets that led to the incident inside that rally venue, there will be questions asked about where the Secret Service security perimeter ended, if this building was outside that Secret Service perimeter, and if it was outside, why was it outside? Just to reflect again that press statement from the United States Secret Service, they say that at approximately 6:15 p.m., a suspected shooter fired multiple shots toward the stage from an elevated position outside of the rally venue. US Secret Service personnel neutralized the shooter, who is now deceased. US Secret Service quickly responded with protective measures, and the former president is safe and being evaluated. One spectator was killed, 2 spectators were critically injured. This incident is currently under investigation, and the Secret Service has formally notified the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Also just getting a statement now from the Secretary of Homeland Security, who says that the US Secret Service Director Cheetle and I have briefed President Biden on today's shooting in Pennsylvania. This statement goes on to say that the Secret Service are working with law enforcement partners to respond to and investigate the shooting.
Hey, I saw the ladder.
Investigate the shooting. This are working with law enforcement.
Right here, there's a ladder. If you look right behind this bush, you see a ladder going up to the roof. You see it? I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a ladder right here. If you see my arrow, there's a ladder right here. This is where he got up.
Enforcement partners to respond to and investigate the shooting. We condemn this violence in the strongest possible terms and commend the Secret Service for their swift action today. But these are quite stunning pictures now that we're seeing, these helicopter pictures above a building in Butler County, Pennsylvania, still unconfirmed as of yet to what they show, but they do apparently show a man or a person deceased atop that building, possibly the elevated position from where those shots were fired inside to the inside of that rally perimeter where Donald Trump was holding that rally. So potentially very significant indeed if these pictures do show what we think they may.
Because we've got some federal violations, some state violations. And so our investigators are going out methodically. We have a large team of investigators that are going out, dividing up these interviews and trying to conduct them as quickly as possible. And then there'll be follow-ups, with the FBI asking for people to call in tips. I have no doubt that we will receive a lot of additional information that will also require follow-up. But again, we're working very well together. And it's only a short matter of time until we get through all of those interviews.
How close a call was it for President Trump?
There were no police hit with bullets.
From your experience, how close a call was it for?
I'm not going to speculate or comment on that.
Have any of you talked to the president? Did any of you have any kind of reaction?
No.
Which law enforcement agencies were tasked with securing this particular rally outside of the United States Secret Service?
Well, Secret Service always has the lead on securing something like this, but then they work very closely. And I hate to use the word routine, but it is a fairly routine matter for all of our agencies to work jointly with the Secret Service. And it really depends on the venue, on what information is out there, what number of resources are devoted to it, and we work with them to provide whatever is requested by the Secret Service, but they're the lead in that security.
Was there anything about this venue that made it particularly difficult to secure?
I would defer to the Secret Service to answer that. They would have done the initial assessment.
Was the rooftop part of what was being secured? Was the rooftop, given its proximity to the event, part of that process?
It's my understanding that was outside of the perimeter.
Did this shooter have any previous criminal history?
We're not going to comment on anything about the shooter.
The agency denied Trump's team extra security. Any of the agencies that are up there?
Not that I'm aware of.
If Trump had been the nominee already, would he have had additional security for this event?
There again, Secret Service has the lead, and I'm not going to comment or speculate on what may or may not be provided at any given point, depending on their status as a candidate. What I will tell you is that in my experience, the Secret Service does an excellent job of maintaining security on protectees. They're very cautious. They don't hesitate to ask for resources, and candidly, we don't hesitate to supply those resources.
You're asking for the public's help. Can you elaborate and be more specific about what you really like to see from the public? If it's videos, photos, personal accounts?
I think the videos and photos would be very helpful. And I think that once the shooter is identified, anyone that has specific information on that shooter, that would be very helpful as well to help us assess motive. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we are absolutely not taking for granted that this was a lone wolf attack. And so we would be looking for any additional information that might point us toward anybody else that may have had a hand in this.
Sir, at this point, what is the main focus of the investigation? What's the most important thing for you right now, a few hours ago?
Well, there's not any one single focus. I mean, certainly the immediate focus was life safety, getting the former president out of there and to care, getting care to the other victims and trying to secure the scene as quickly as possible. It shifted then from a life safety priority to then an investigative priority. And so I guess if I had to point to where we are right now, the single greatest priority would be to identifying a motive and whether there was anyone else involved.
We're just beginning the political season. Are you guys concerned with all of these rallies that happen and how they're set up? Or is this going to change maybe the venues?
Again, I would refer you to the Secret Service in terms of what they work out with the campaigns. We will continue to supply resources, as I'm sure the FBI will, and local partners as well.
When this was announced, it was, it was quite a few days of a heads up that people get ready to come to this Trump rally. From a law enforcement perspective, when you announced that they would have like this, all that time in advance of the week out, does it give people more time to plan something like this?
I suppose, but there's a balance, I would think, that any of the campaigns on either side try to weigh. I mean, the point of them announcing it, I suspect, is because they want the crowd. And so it's not up to us in law enforcement to tell them when they should announce or how they should announce or how they should conduct it. We offer our best advice. Again, working hand in hand with the Secret Service, offer our best advice of how best to secure and protect that venue.
Sir, considering how many people were there, and you have packed in there, and you have somebody in an elevated position with potentially a high-powered rifle, how lucky is it that we were only talking about a couple of victims, as sad and tragic as that is?
Well, we're certainly grateful that we don't have even more victims. And again, in terms of how this could have occurred, that will be part of this after action report and an investigation that occurs so that we can hopefully ensure that something like this doesn't happen again.
Has an autopsy been conducted yet, or is it scheduled?
It has not been conducted yet. I do not.
If somebody has videos or photos, where should they send them?
So we have the 1-800 call FBI if you have audio tips, and then we set up a specific tip line for audio and video, and that's fbi.gov/Butler.
And they should send you just like any video? Like
Anything that anyone has that is related to this incident that they think may be of assistance investigatively, we'll take anything and we'll analyze it and we'll make the determination if it's of investigative value. Go ahead.
So from what you've been briefed on, it sounds like law enforcement.
What's up, Miss 702? How you doing tonight?
Hey, world. How are you?
I'm great. I'm glad you came through.
Good.
Introduce you to my buddy Wally.
Oh, wait.
I don't
I
know.
hear an echo twice. Let me shut something down.
I don't know if Wally's still up or not, but yeah, my buddy Wally's up here with me. We're just hanging out, checking out,
I know
making
Wally.
Yeah, Wally knows you too.
Hey, Wally. Long time no see. How are you?
That is the assessment at this time. That
So are you surprised that a sniper was able to fire off a handful of shots?
Yeah, he probably done fell asleep. I don't know.
again, we're still working through.
Got you.
Security
So what
apparatus
is your
that the Secret Service
assessment of
have
the
in
shooting?
place
Because I know that I
what
have an
potentially
opinion.
happened. There's going to be a long investigation into exactly.
Well, I have a lot of ideas, a lot of opinions right now, but I just want to like try to give it a couple of days before I like put it out. You know what I mean? I want to kind of assess it a little bit. I don't want to jump the gun, but I do got I got a lot of shit running through my mind at the moment. We'll discuss it maybe tomorrow. Like if when I get off work, I might do like a review or something, and then have like an open panel, and then we can like discuss it and see, get everybody's opinion. But right now, I'm just trying to soak it all in and see what's going on because I'm getting a lot of conflicting stories from a lot of different sources right now. So just trying to figure it out like you.
Can I give an opinion, which may change as days go on, like you said?
Yeah, go ahead and give your opinion.
I feel like it was staged
I
because
feel
normally
go
people who do those type of things, they're like trained shooters. They're usually like ex-military or they're people that go to the gun range for a long time to learn how to shoot with precision. If he really wanted to shoot him in the head, he would have shot him in the head. The way he shot him, he barely grazed his ear. You know what I'm saying?
ahead.
So I just don't see someone that was that deeply committed to doing this missing. I just don't see that, you know?
Well, this is what they saying. And they saying if he wouldn't have turned his head at that right time, it would have hit him in the head because it hit his ear, and that's when the exact time he turned. So, you know, I don't know. That's why I'm saying I'm just trying to figure some stuff out because
And
I agree with
moments after he gets grazed, because I hate the word get shot. Let's say get grazed, right? The
you.
moments after he gets grazed, they're able to put him on his feet and he's able to throw up the fist pump. Really? Really? Come on, dude. That's
Well, you know,
somebody who
you got to throw the fist pump up after you done got shot at. That's the rule.
it's probably like the furthest thing from a real person's mind, right? Unless you already knew that this event was going to occur and you were already ready to do something epic, possibly for a photo op. I think this was the best promotion he could have had for his reelection. Now he's definitely going to get that empathy vote, He's
Of
going to win
course.
by a landslide now.
Yep, it's Trump all the way to the goddamn White House.
Like, who's still trying to assassinate presidents in 2024? Like, our presidential candidates are jokes now. One of them has dementia and had it when he went into office, and the other one is now a felon, but we been knew he was eventually going to get knocked or something, right? And I mean, like, nobody takes the presidency so seriously to assassinate anyone these days. No one.
They're not like us. That's why I just want to see where the chips fall. I want to, because I understand false flags and stuff like that, but then I also understand that he could be in on it, he could not be in on it. They could be really trying to get rid of him. It's a lot of talking about draining the swamp and all that type of shit. So I don't know. There's a lot of different variables, but the math ain't mathing. A lot of this shit ain't making sense. You know what I mean? They should have had a drone in the fucking air. They should have had Secret Service on every fucking building. You know what I mean? Especially buildings that's within reach of the president that you can't see because of trees are in the way. They should have had somebody over there.
And it doesn't even seem like they said, oh, it's outside of Secret Service perimeter, right? But it doesn't even seem like it was that far from the stage. So why was that outside of Secret Service perimeter? It seemed, all this stuff seems strange.
Yeah, they say it was only 148 yards away from the event. So, he was pretty close.
Right. But it was outside of Secret Service perimeter, though. So it was the one place they didn't happen to check.
That doesn't make any sense. You see all those buildings right there. You should have had somebody over there on top of that building.
Okay, so I've been at the scene of where presidential assassination occurred. I think you're in Texas, right? Are you in Texas?
I plead the
Okay. Well, what I did was I went to the JFK Museum in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got like a really nice.
You went down to the grassy knoll? Yeah, I've been there a few times. I drive by there all the time when I do go to Dallas.
There you go. So at the time, my cousin Craig Watkins was alive. I'm sure you remember Craig Watkins, right? At that time, he was like you guys DA.
Well, I'm not from Dallas, so I don't know about the DA, but I do go to Dallas.
Well, there you go. He was a DA at the time, right? And they gave me a special tour. And they even took me like over to, I can't describe it, but like the grass area across the street where they believe the shooter was.
Yeah.
Yeah, from where, and then walking me to like right about where the car would have been and all of those different angles. And I'm just like, if that shooter could be so far and make the mark, then how could this shooter, like you said, be what, 148 yards and not make the mark? Even if he was up there doing the electric slide, if that was a professional shooter, right, still would have made his mark. And how many shots did he get off? You know? I really feel like it was publicity. I really feel like it was publicity.
Well, I got a feeling we will never know the truth. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be so many cover-ups.
Which way do you lean, though?
So let's see what these. Anytime they lips move, they mean they're lying.
Exactly what took place and how the individual was able to get access to the location, what type of weapon he had, all that it is really days, weeks, and months of investigation.
He was able to get off like 4 or 5 shots.
It is surprising, but again, to get the true, all the details of that will come out later in investigation.
Going back to the perimeter of this building, I think it's really difficult for people to understand that this building with a very high vantage point, some 100 meters away from where this is happening, isn't part of that perimeter. What goes into that conversation over what is in and out and why wouldn't that be?
Again, the Secret Service really needs to answer that question. They conduct the initial site survey. They do the initial security assessments and determine where the different security locations should be. And they're the ones who are in charge of securing the scene. We, along with other state and local assets, are there to support the Secret Service and their mission.
How many troopers and agents were at the rally, obviously before the shooting, and how is that number determined? And should perhaps there have been more?
So I don't have the specific numbers. I doubt you do as well.
No, I can speak just for PSP. We had physically on site there, probably 30 to 40 members of PSP, but we also have additional resources in the area. We utilize aviation, for example, and a variety of other resources, dogs to sweep beforehand that really aren't counted in that. And again, the number is driven by what the request is from the Secret Service. Just in their defense, I mean, what I would want to say is it is incredibly difficult to have a venue open to the public and to secure that against any possible threat, against a very determined attacker. That's a huge lift to try and do it. And, again, the investigation will really give us an opportunity to take a look at where any failures occurred and what can be done better in the future.
Lieutenant Colonel Wiggins, do you know when another briefing might be held?
We don't have one scheduled, but I would tell you we will let you know and give you plenty of notice. Certainly, as soon as additional things develop that would be noteworthy or of interest to you, we'll get that scheduled and have another with you.
Locally, what can residents, businesses expect to happen with the investigation over the next couple of days? What's going to be going on there?
Well, again, the interviews will all be occurring, and so they may see law enforcement in their communities. People came from a wide area to come to this rally, I'm told. So, there's going to be law enforcement fanning out, and as additional calls, photos, videos come in, those additional interviews will result in law enforcement being out in the community conducting those interviews. But otherwise, they really shouldn't see any other significant impact in the community.
Confirm whether it's a male or female, the homicide, the bystander who died?
It's a male.
A male?
Yes.
I'm from a European outlet from Poland, and I'm already getting text messages from back home, and people are asking, how could this happen? What's going on in America? I know that it's a philosophical question, but how can you talk to the people outside the United States about what happened here in Dublin?
Well, again, what I would say is a tragic incident that occurred. We're not in a position to start second guessing how or why or anything else at this point. Just know that it will be thoroughly investigated. If there is anyone to prosecute, that will be done, and we'll move forward. but I don't have a good answer for you.
We'll just take one last question.
I know that PSP said that you guys were not aware of any additional requests from the Trump team for security. What about the FBI? Was there an additional request for additional security from the Trump team, and was that denied in any way, shape, or form?
No, there was no additional request for security that was ever denied by the FBI.
What does the FBI do in these events? Like, what is your role?
So we showed up after the fact. We were monitoring the event, but it was once the incident occurred that we come and we take the primary jurisdiction for the investigation. Thank you. We'll, as we have additional information, we'll provide it. Thank you.
Thank you.
In Butler.
Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave. 6 feet deep under, but my body won't decay. Cause my messages are timeless, so they'll put them on display. Oh yeah, I rap with a certainty, I have a sense of urgency. A message for eternity, for everyone internally. I had some people burning me, but now they fucking learn to see I ain't the one to fuck with. Now they looking nervously, and I don't really care what you think of me respectfully. You can kick rocks if you think you're fucking better, see. I will outwork you, turn you to an enemy. Hurt you so bad that you're gonna need some therapy. I got the motherfucking recipe. I've been cooking up hits, I'ma leave a legacy. You'll be looking small when you're standing right next to me. I'm 5'10", bitch, but I'm 10 feet next to me. I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Yeah, I'ma do it my way. Coming out with a statement. You really changed, man, all your music and arrangement. You don't know shit, shut your mouth, you can save it. I'm the same dude that got his come up from the basement. 100 songs, 100 weeks, didn't change it. Experiments, development, intelligence, and patience. I'll do it all again, cause I never feel complacent. Let's keep the good vibes, positivity's contagious. I'm never looking back, cause I made a life that's passionate. A college graduate suppressing all his talents, yeah. He found a way to go and change, become an advocate. For taking control of your life, go out and battle. And you think you have a dream, then act on it. Get after it, get out your head and fucking capture it. You got one life to master it. Don't give up on your future, we all start losers. We're all late bloomers, gotta struggle through the sewer. What you say, yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make. Cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make.